Hey, welcome back to Métropole Grid. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is January 28th, 2025. I feel like at some point I said 2024 on accident. I always feel it's going to be that time. We're good. How's everyone doing? It's a Tuesday afternoon. Hopefully you've been well. It's been a busy weekend of Netrunner and Netrunner adjacent stuff. And we're back. The CBI is over this weekend. It was on at Sunday at 2:30 in the morning. I watched none of it live. Finally, an Eternal stream. Axu, how's it going? Shouldn't you be out getting food or something? Huh? Huh? How you doing? Cool. Hey, Andre, tuning in right after my nose surgery, so thanks for the distraction. Hopefully things are going well. Maybe you got a stronger, a better, whatever kind of nose you're looking for. I hope you have it at this point, and hopefully things are healing well. Enjoy the new nose. You have permission to say 2024 into end of January. Thank you, Meether. How's it going? Hey, 8 Bagels. Hey, all. Just learned about this game last October. Local scene didn't really exist, but I started running G&Ks and people are showing up, and I'm planning a CTK, getting stores signed up as retailers, and it's going really well. Thanks for all your content. Just want to share my excitement with someone. Yo, everyone's so stoked for you. That's incredible. So this is like a thing. It's a message that I've been saying, as much as I'm not much of a... Okay, I do some local organization, but not a lot of my local scene is because of me. A lot of the times, if you don't have a scene, it's frustrating because you want to go and play with people, but they don't have people. If you can talk to stores, and it is a bit of work, and set up, like G&Ks and put up a poster that says like, I want to do a learn to play event. If you build it, they will come. Because I promise you, people know what Netrunner is, and people think Netrunner is really cool, but they don't have a lot of ways to jump into it. And if somebody gives them an excuse to come out, there's so many people usually where you live that are in the same shoes as you are. Bagels, that's incredible. Hopefully you're having a good time. Enjoy your CTK. I'm glad you're having a great time. Hey, Marton, just had 5 games for the 2 decks used for the deck building 101. Thanks for enabling fun times. Yo, let's go. Do you have any feedback? How did it go? We've been working on some gateway stuff. I'll show in a minute. But yeah, we're trying to focus more on some fundamentals here on the channel. I'm glad that stuff worked out. The deck building 101, we probably should do 1 or 2 more decks on them. I imagine you played HB versus Criminal. Maybe you did the damage deck. I'm not sure. Yo, Eric, how you doing? Hey, y'all. How you been? Save for Hay Stream makes me wonder if there'll be another for Elevation. Oh, Meteor said, I cannot get enough of this animated Charlotte. Gonna be Sag when it goes for Elevation, presumably. Yeah, that Charlotte, it's a bit rough. There's things about it I would definitely change. It is notably something I had to put together in like a day and a half because of, spoiler season comes and goes pretty quickly. So it's like, here's your spoilers, just do the video, do the intro. It takes a bunch of time. So I would fix some parts of it. However, I also did that on the computer I'm on right now, and now I have a better computer, so render times won't be a total pain. That thing rendered terribly because there's a whole bunch of different assets and layers and lighting effects, and it just like takes a long time. And then if you make a mistake, it's the sort of thing where you have to like render it overnight, unfortunately, look at it and be like, oh, that's not great. I feel like the coattails are a bit too windy inside that bar, and it's just like a pain to fix. I'm hoping, again, if there's spoilers on this channel for Elevation, it actually has the lineup really well, and kind of on accident, because oftentimes I will ask for art, for full art, and if I can get best case scenarios, I can get Photoshop files. Not always that's the case, and then best case scenario on top of that, the artist who submitted their Photoshop files to Null Signal Games has layered work done. Because the thing is, in a lot of those arts, right, like the art behind behind Charlotte doesn't exist, because why would the artist have drawn it? Because they're just gonna put Charlotte on top of it. So then it's my job to cut things out, and then when Charlotte moves, or because of the parallaxing, you actually see it exposes some of the art behind Charlotte which doesn't exist. So then I have to create the art behind Charlotte, and I promise you, I'm not an artist. I'm much more of an engineer, so it is a difficult thing to do well. But anyways, to get an animation looking good, like I've got lucky the last 2 releases that we got Photoshop files of high resolution that were things that were within my wheelhouse to animate. Things like Coalescence, I don't think I could animate that. That is just a style that I don't know how to work with, as opposed to the last 2, which were pretty good. So I'm hoping for the best, honestly. I really like animating those like motion graphics things. I definitely do more of them, but they all require getting the source files, and hopefully the source files work. Frank, how you doing? Hey. How's your week? Hopefully your job stuff has been good, doing well. Sakiro Shakio, how's it going? Hello, welcome to the channel. How you doing? Will deck building 101 expand to Elevation? Yeah, totally. So when Elevation comes out, we'll be doing Gateway plus Elevation deck building, and like videos and gameplays and stuff like that. I'll come back to that in a second. So that's definitely going to happen, because I know a lot of people are going to be getting into Netrunner, and that is going to be either where they get in, or also maybe where they stay. Right? Like my job is to convince people to come in and keep getting Netrunner content and get into standard or startup. And I think you should. It's really fun. But I do think like, so Pat and I played System Gateway on the weekend. We did our first recording for the channel. I'll show you what it looks like. But we just pulled out System Gateway. And because of reasons, which I'll also talk about in a moment, we ended up playing the System Gateway starter decks, Catalyst versus Syndicate, with no additional cards. So 30 to 34 cards. We played 7 games across Sunday afternoon into the evening, and we had 7 good games of Netrunner and had a great time. Like, it is the wildest thing is that, like, System Gateway, just to picking up for people who've played the game for over a decade, we just played Catalyst versus the Syndicate and had a great time playing 7 games of Netrunner. Now, technically, it was like work. It was like something for the channel, so it had to be done. But regardless, when we finished every game, we were like, hey, that was actually pretty fun. You want to do another one? And so I'm imagining a lot of people are going to pick up Gateway. A lot of people can pick Elevation and then use that as kind of like a board game space, where if I just had Gateway, I honestly would be playing it a lot because it's a pretty good time. So yeah, we'll definitely have stuff that's going to be Elevation. We'll probably touch Startup. We'll have Standard also, for what it's worth. Like, I know there's a lot of been requests for Startup as well, but like Standard is going to be a lot more accessible and a lot smaller in just a couple months too. So I honestly don't know if I will be one who recommends, like, no, probably recommend Startup, but like getting straight into Standard is not going to be as hard as it is modernly, which is not impossible. It's slightly harder than you'd want it to be. Goddamn, how's it going? Hey, fellow gamers. Jai. Hey, Mr. Métropole. Hey, chat. How's your weekend, Jai? Mathon says 2-3 of the corp side, but the last game was so close. We played Criminal versus HB. Okay, cool. I'm worried the Criminal versus HB matchup from the Deck Building 101 videos is very runner favored. If once you get very experienced with the game, right, I think eventually it plateaus to being runner favored, unless the corporation draws really, really, really well. I'm worried that a good runner that can put on pressure and like just get down Leech, like Leech is just kind of messed up in System Gateway. It should be relatively runner favored, but I think it's interesting because the narrative changes depending on how many reps you get into the game. I think early, the corporation should win more often than not. And then the more experience both players get, I do think it should swap. So Marthon, let me know if that changes. Again, that is, it's not meant to be a burn or anything. We all start somewhere, but I do think it's interesting because I'm worried at some point it might become one-sided, but I need to get more data. Happy Lunar New Year. Yeah, hey, Jai, to you too. I really need to learn to do that 3D style thing. Lucille, how's it going? It's like a bit of work. For the way that I do it, I know there's like, you can just use like, I don't want to say AI, but there's software that can do something like that for you. For me, it's a process that uses Photoshop, a bit of Illustrator, and then After Effects. And so I cut things up. Through Photoshop, I have to paint in backgrounds. I separate things so that I can do puppetry. I then do effects to make things like move and add lights and stuff like that. And then I basically make a 3D model where everything's layers at different depth. And so the camera can rack in and out. And so then because of the 3D, there's a parallax effect. Then I do like motion blur on different camera levels to make there be more simulated depth. It takes a bit. It honestly takes a bit, but it should be easier on the new computer, which is great. I do believe there will be a bit more time for previews this year. Yeah. I've done a lot of photoshopping, and yeah, whenever I need to get art from people, I ask for it layered. Oh my God, layered art is so good. I forget how that art came from Charlotte. I think it was slightly layered, but then there's a lot of like weird layer work that I ended up doing, like all the crowd in the background. I had to cut them out separately because why would you layer that? Have we talked about Mr. Surveyors yet? No, we haven't yet. We'll get to it. There's no article that just says like, ha, I win, which would be really funny, but I'm really, really happy for Kikai. Dujan, how's it going? Congratulations on the weekend too. I think I got to see one of your matchups, and I think you had to do 2-0 back-to-back just about, which like, well played for sure. Those decks are great for teaching. I hope so. I think so. I was pretty surprised when Nick and I did our Games for System Gateway recording at how good the games ended up being. Okay, Eric, I'm going to jump into the sad point, unfortunately, so check this out. Sorry, I'll catch up in chat in a second. I just want to show this because it kind of came up organically. So we set up the studio space behind me, and honestly, I'm a bit bummed out to stream on Thursday because it's just going to be a Métropole Grid stream here on the computer. We'll be on Jinteki.net. We'll be hanging out. We'll be having a good time. It's a bummer, but it's fine because Pat was over here and we sat down on Sunday and we just played games and we recorded. And I'll show you what it looks like because it looked pretty good. I'm very excited. So this is it. Color work is still a bit, has to be work, but this is what it looked like when we played System Gateway. So I did a basic edit here. Some things are not final because figuring out where the card pop-ups work underneath the cameras, that is something we have to run into. But for instance, this is a run on the remote server. And so I'm going to be recording this as much as we can do this live. And this was a lot of fun. I'm going to take some Karuna damage here. Oh no, we're just breaking Unity to white space. And this is what it looks like. I think it looked quite nice and I'm excited for this. Now, what we did is we recorded games of System Gateway. We wanted to get out the basic System Gateway deck, which I think is a really important video because it is an evergreen video. It is a sort of video a lot of people will open up when they search like System Gateway Netrunner and it will show up everywhere. So we want to do it right. Here I'm running through a Karuna. I could die to an Urtica. I'm pretty sure it's not an Urtica. I ended up taking some net damage. Ignore the pressure spike. I don't have a Unity net damaged because that's an effect I have to pre-make. And I'm going to access and steal some points. So we filmed the first 3 games of System Gateway. and we finished them. We finished 3 games. One of them was really fast, so we ran it back. I ended up jailbreaking HQ and stealing 6 points in a single run, and you only play to 6 points. Oh, that off-world office is broken. That's fine. This is the point. Anyways, this is what it looks like. It looks good. I'm really excited for this to be done. But what ended up happening is that we recorded 3 games of System Gateway, and they were really good games. It was like 5-6, super close. And then we were about to go up and add the extra deck building cards and go up to adding tags and viruses. And then I just gonna check the video. The microphones were muted. We recorded the best gameplay, I think, from System Gateway, our first shot. Energy was really good. It was really educational. We're talking about what we're doing and why. We don't really care about winning. We're not trash talking. And then the microphones were just muted, which is obviously a problem. And so then for the rest of the day, we were like, okay, we'll do it again, which is fun. It's fine. But the problem is, like, then we finished the next recording, and instead of the game being like a punchy 25 minutes, it's like a 45-minute game that gets to this really crunchy technical end game. And then we finished recording that, and we're like, that's pretty good. But it wasn't as good as our first games. And so we record another one and we're like, that one's okay, but it wasn't as good as our next games. And we play another one and was like, that one was bad. Like, that is clearly not as good as our next games. And so we ended up with like 2 games, a runner and a corp and a swap, that are like good enough to put up. And then I'm editing them, and now I'm looking at them, and I realized, like, I didn't do the audio properly. We had our audio on the same channel. They should have been on stereo on 2 different channels, so it's a bit echoey and not great. It's definitely doable, and it will look good, and it'll sound okay. But the problem is, like, I know I can do better. So it looks like maybe we spent a whole weekend and we learned what it was, and we just don't have much to show for it, which is unfortunate. But I did some test editing and all this sort of stuff. It was a whole weekend and a day of editing to come down to this conclusion. I haven't told Pat yet. I think in hindsight, we probably should have realized that, like, it was bound the first recording to go poorly. We're going to learn something. Like, I think my camera is slightly too high. I think I should have turned off one of my computers that makes background noise and you hear it on the microphone. Like, there's so many minor things besides the big technical things that we messed up that we should not have sat down to try and do the evergreen System Gateway content. We should have just been like, we'll record whatever, have fun. And then I'll look at that footage and then we'll know that we're ready to start our System Gateway content, which is the good content. So the short of the long is, had a great time with Pat. The games were really fun. The system works really nicely. For the live stream, it should work flawlessly. I'm excited to do a live stream at least next week, the first Thursday of the month. Pat will be here and we'll be playing on this table. I just want to keep using this thing. It's a bummer that the camera can't be set up for solo play because it's on the side, and that doesn't really make sense. And I have issues with the capture card. We talked about that at length. But things are going really quite well, besides the fact that we spent a whole weekend and we learned things as much as the footage is, like, not great. So that is my recap. Thanks to Pat, but we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. I played 3 demo games at my RPG meet. Was good. Oh, nice. Yay, Laura is super hyped for over the table videos. Me too. They're almost there. They're not perfect. I'm catching up on chat, so sorry I'm a bit behind, but I'll get through everything. I'm trying to relearn Netrunner, but I got into it in 2018 and bought my local store stash when they had left, which was a lot, and went Netrunner hunting till 2019 and pickup start in 2021. All right, so you probably still, a lot of the stuff that you picked up at the end of 2018 is still, like, if it's FFG cards, like, legal in standard, which is kind of nice. Some of that stuff is really hard to find. You probably understand Nelson Hill Games has been putting out the modern stuff, and that stuff, like, for what it's worth, standard is like 90% Nelson Hill Games cards, as much as you can proxy. But welcome to the game, Sekiro. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. The game's in a pretty great spot. It's having a massive rotation coming up soon, but obviously people are pretty into it. Hey Joe, Gateway tends to be very runner favored in general, I believe. Once the runner shakes off the fear of unresed dice, corpse gets a lot harder. I agree, and we were talking about that in our preview games. I do think specifically the 1 mana garm is incredibly important for the corporation. The runner can overextend. I think bluffing actually makes sense. You have enough things to put in a remote server, whether you advance an Urtica or not. But it seemed that good runner play was a bit favored. But if the runner just doesn't draw into breakers in the System Gateway, like, you don't have mutual favor. Mayfly only gets you so far. So it was interesting. It was, like, genuinely interesting. And also because it's functionally open deck lists, because we know every card in the deck and every card has dots equal to how many copies. I'm like, okay, I know he has 1 more overclock. And then it actually becomes a bit more of like like, I really like open deck list Netrunner. Like, a good code gates is a lot of the ice is small in System Gateway. You need a plan for Pharos and Braun. So the thing is, like, in the learn to play things, there's no Pharos. So Braun you generally click through, and the code gates are relevant because Unity doesn't break Diviner for less than 2 to 3 credits. And White Space is generally broken for 1. So I don't mind them. It is much worse once you get Buzzsaw down, for sure. System Gateway's code gates is not my favorite. TMKF, yo, how's it going? How you doing? All of our G&K nights up until elevation are system gateway only, and they have been awesome. My CTK will be startup, system gateway, elevation, liberation, like the focused card pool. Unfortunately for the corpse and system gateway, you do have void plus skunk combo. It is good. I don't think it's unbeatable. For what it's worth, system gateways, void, mana garm, like it's good. I do think aggressive runners can deal with it. Like the corporation can't really fire it that often. I do think we know in elevation there will be a card that will allow you to deal with skunk void, kind of like pinhole threading does in standard. So if it does seem really powerful in the limited meta, it should get a bit better or less powerful when elevation comes out. At least it seems like that. For a brief second, I thought the stream was titled Torment Platter. Hey, Stab. What table where you get it? This table, it's from IKEA. I don't know how big it is. I don't know the name. It's it expands. It has a leaf. I put the leaf on the wrong end, so it runs into the camera. I have to flip the table, but it's just a table. Gonna be recording some over the table gameplay at locals tonight. It's gonna look a lot worse than that, but that's okay. Like I think that's a huge thing is people want to watch on the table Netrunner. It's as simple as taking a cell phone. I think most modern cell phones look better than the camera I'm using right now, which is an old camera. You put it on a tripod or lean it and record your gameplay. Like NAN PC was recorded on a phone. The last NAN PC that went out, and it looks better than what I recorded on the camera the year before at Montreal National. So like it's honestly very, very easy to get content that looks great. Hey, PMK, I'm doing good. How are you doing? I'm just saying, if Kika is allowed to call me People's Champion, I'm going to call him Mr. Surveyor. I think Mr. Surveyor is fine. Everyone's lamenting the audio. Yeah, it's bad. As someone who works in podcasting and media, everyone has the dreaded mics moment or off moment. Yeah, I know it happens. It happens. I know why it happened too. Like, I'm not surprised. It's a good thing that I got it out of the way sooner than later. I've done that before. I've worked in tech, and that's honestly the problem with this sort of setup is like, because I worked in this sort of video space, I record something and be like, I can do better, as opposed to like, it'll never be good enough. It is what it is. I'd watch the muted games with voiceover. Oh, Laura, I appreciate it. The thing is like, it's really hard because there's like breakaways where we just look at the camera and explain like a basic fundamental, and it needs to be the most accessible content because it's going to be a lot of people's first Netrunner gameplay content. So I think we need to nail it. So we'll get there. You may consider playing these system gateway beginner games with the null signal tokens. They're more approachable as a noob. Seeing poker chips, but not being able to easily buy them is a little rough. I hear you. We talk about it on the camera to say like, these are the null signal poker chips. There's going to be overlays for how many credits we have. I don't have the null signal games tokens. A lot of people probably don't. Eventually it'll be more popular. I think for what it's worth that these look better and are more readable on camera just because they're bigger and more colorful than the null signal games tokens. So it's a mixed bag. I hear you. But I do think these are very, very clear, and they also sound, they sound fun. Would it be possible to post it with a sort of director's cut commentary? I think I would have maybe at some point, Gotham, but I think I need to get out of the way and get the real thing done first before spending more time on it. I've had so many experiences like that with footage that just isn't usable after syncing a bunch of time. You've learned things and will be less likely to make the mistake. Yeah, it's like a learning thing. For what it's worth too, like the audio on that wasn't great. I learned that I did not have it set up in stereo. We have 2 lav mics, which means the audio also, I was like, ooh, I can do much better than this. Design mandate was an answer to Skunk Void, yeah. What is the number one I wish this type of card was in Dawn card for you? Oh, Eric, how's it going? Hopefully you're doing well. What is the number one I wish this type of card was an Elevation or Dawn card for you? I think in the context of, and I know this is going to come in the set, right? Like they've been very clear about it. What I've been noticing from System Gateway is that there's not a good incentive to ice HQ. As long as you have a strong remote server and you ice R&D, a lot of games end up with a pretty uninteresting like Shaper U, because there's R&D pressure and then there's, you know, remote pressure, but there's literally like next to no reason why a runner should be running HQ unless they have like a Penny Shaver or Red Team Elite or run-based stuff, which like running archives, running HQ is a bit better. So I'd be interested in having a way that, you know, HQ is a pressure, like diversion of funds, account siphon, but not like super messed up, because those cards, one of them at least is more powerful. So I think that's probably what I want. I want a reason why that server needs to be protected, because I don't think it exists in that small card pool. There's no reason to ice HQ in System Gateway, unless you draw poorly. It's just Docklands Pass, yeah, but like the idea is if you don't have agendas in hand, right? Like if your remote server is Brawn into Brawn or whatever, any agenda I draw just goes straight into the remote server. So like I'm just not holding agendas in hand. So multi-access on HQ doesn't matter. Awesome. Okay, what is your fave corp deck of all time? Oh, that one's really hard. And it's because my memory doesn't work well. Honestly, my memory doesn't work well with that, where you have to be like, imagine every single corporation deck. I'm going to think of the first one that I like. And then someone would be like, what about this? And be like, oh, I forgot about that one. My favorite corp deck of all time? Shit, I honestly don't know. Someone would have to suggest corp decks that I enjoyed playing. Like, I have no good answer. Like, I remember I played a lot of mid-seasons back in the day in like Titan, but I don't think that was that fun. Who knows? Could it really be your favorite deck if you don't remember? Yes, genuinely. Because if someone like I'm like building a criminal deck and I forget to put bravados in it, right? That's just how it works. Like some things you just take for granted. I don't know. Wait, setting it not to stereo fixes the echo. It'll make it a bit better because I can isolate the tracks. So when one person's talking, the other one isn't. Jello Shots, how's it going? And then I can like tune the audio levels individually for each person. I have way less control on the other case. It makes it more easy to manage things like echo. Internet drop got to the part from IKEA. What, your PDX? Sekiro, I'm sorry, I don't think I understand. I have the tokens, they're mostly nice. Hey, Chinchling, what is the mostly part? Your review of the tokens? Hey, don't signal games, by the way. Now that I have a camera set up, if you want to send me tokens, you want to send me a nice playmat, I'll show them up. It's like the best free advertising. I don't know why you don't want to pounce on that deal. It is absolutely just cost you nothing, just product. It'll be on the table. Anyways, I'm honestly not joking. I think Audacity is the rotating card I'll miss the most. Perihelion, how's it going? Yeah, Audacity is a really big one. For what it's worth, like, I don't think that many people do cool things with Audacity as much as it is like, oh, you're on 5 points, you can close the game. So that matters. I feel like lately I've been in the more frustrating part across from Audacity where it's like, oh, the corp's on 5 points. They have an Alice counter. Got to win now or nothing. And that, you know, it's okay. I think Rashida is going to be like the biggest rotation that I'll miss, but I think the game's just going to be different. Shoot the Moon or Sea Scorched? No, I don't like Sea Scorched that much. Shoot the Moon is okay. It's really fun. It's really smooth. It's definitely not my favorite deck. It's just a really smooth deck. Yes, Mari. In the starter deck, isn't the HQ Flood more likely with that spin? Lower, it can be, but there's also not a lot of card draw, right? Like, it's funny. As soon as you introduce the upgraded cards to System Gateway starter decks and you add Predictive Planogram, I'm like, even if the runner's tagged, I'm not sure I want to draw 3 cards with this. So often what I do in System Gateway is like I play a bit slower. I ice up the remote server. I put 1 ice on HQ if I need it in the early game, like a Tithe or a White Space or whatever. Maybe a Diviner's fine there. And then I'll ice up. I'll put my second Brawn usually on R&D. And then whatever agenda I'll draw, I'll push in a remote server after a Nico or a Regolith. And then if they steal that, they probably don't have money to push the second agenda. And then at that point, whenever I draw an agenda, I usually just push in their remote server. So I don't often flood up because you don't actually have any card draw in System Gateway, Learn to Play deck, and you have no real incentive to draw a lot because a lot of your cards are playable on their own. It's interesting. Low-key Egg Prison. You might have saved me hours of troubleshooting sometimes next week. Oh yeah, definitely separate the tracks if you can. It'll be better. Yeah, you want to have that ability. Like if someone sneezes, now they sneeze on both tracks. Like that's not good. Auto ducking is a lifesaver for unmonitored multi-mic setups. Zen, how's it going? Oh, I have something stuck in my throat. Excuse me. It looks like I'll be on the Backroom Deals live stream on a Wednesday next week, which is pretty exciting. So I get to hang out with Zen and John, which is great. Oh, I really have something. I've been eating like trail mix a fair bit. I think I have like a seed in my throat. I'm gonna miss Inside Job, something fierce. What a classic. Yeah, Cranked. Also, like, card is entirely reprinted from ONR. So like this card has been around for 30 years or some odd. And for what it's worth, like I like Estebrado so much less than Inside Job for like 17 different reasons. And it feels like we won't get a new Inside Job. It'll just be like, oh, Estebrado is your bypass thing, or Fazarum is your bypass thing. And oh my god, I hate every element of Estebrado. Besides the art. The art's cool. It's cool to see Mercury doing a flip. I think this is, oh, it wasn't one of the first Scotamingo. Like, this is technically net space, but it's also like physical space. Kaipoer is cool. I haven't published anything, but generally speaking, they're all very nice. This is Chancelling's review of the Null Signal Games tokens. Plenty for 2 people to play. Colors and designs are distinct. Virus token shapes are fun. They are. I would like the click tokens to be larger. The size of the 5 credit token would be good. And the cardboard punch board is a bit low quality, so all the tokens have little tags from where they were connected to the punch board, which is annoying. Oh, cool. Hey, say that you get a board game in and it has cardboard punch components. You know how one side has more perforation and the other side has less perforation because of the process? Which side do you, as the board game enjoyer, push the token through? Do you push it through the perforated side out of the less perforated side, or do you go from the less perforated side through the perforated side? You know what I mean, right? We've all done this. Which way is like correct? I feel like one of them is better and you get less of those tags. I don't know. Bink, how's it going? Tread Lightly is the new Inside Job. So I know this was played. Like, I'm pretty sure Kika was playing one of these. And in System Gateway, it's actually a hella sick card. It's kind of cool. For what it's worth, I like pinhole threading a bit more because it's a bit more flexible. But I honestly think Tread Lightly might be slightly underplayed. It's kind of neat. Less to more for sure. Less to more usually. For real. I always do the other. Eric says, then do you have a built-in auto ducking auto mixer in your hardware? Do you use a plugin? And you despise Estabrado. I despise Fizzarum and I play it. I don't play a lot of Fizzarum. Zen says they're running Reaper. I worry that I need to figure out how to make my audio sound better for the setup. It's not great. You always push through the more perforated side into the less. It rips way less often. You always push through from the less. So you do it the way that people do it. I feel like I don't do it that way. I feel like it's more to less. You see Savers with me. I might be wrong. I feel like it's more to less. It's good that we don't agree on this. That's important. More to less, unless there's a lot of things, then I do both. Duran, congrats on your weekend. More to less. I think I do more to less. Apparently we're like entirely divided. Sharp corner side gets pushed. Yeah, I agree. That's more, less the more. Oh no, Tron's doing more to less. Okay, we're not friends anymore. Everyone here is wrong except Jai, more to less. I don't think so. I know, but like I want someone from the board game like companies. Like I want someone entrenched in this field to let us know what it should be. Civil War. Board game, cardboard, punch sheet. Andre, I'm saying what you were saying. I wanted to go from the side that is less perforated. I want to go from the hard side. Like, okay, this is the top side. This is the perforated side. The back is the unperforated side. I would push the back. I bust this through. I'm uppercutting this. I'm not like spiking it. Can we agree on that? We're either team uppercut or we're team spike. I'm uppercutting 9 out of 10 times. Oh no, that's wrong. Great. Just please uppercut or spike. We know what we're talking about, right? I missed that we're talking about it, but I feel like I need to take a side. Yeah, please just take a side. You honestly, you can see who's on each team and which team will win. Team spike all day, every day. Fuck, cranked. Come on. Do you do it while hating space? I feel like that's it doesn't really matter. Hey, Garrick. Eric is right. It's supposed to be more to less to ensure the paper tears on the sheet and not the token. Okay, Garrick, can you translate that very important message into uppercut versus spike technology? Because I've got lost on the more or less thing. Team spike, Alvin. John, I'm on my way to too many board games. Can't get my brain around which side is more or less perforated. Yeah, okay, we're on spike to uppercut terminology. We've changed. You complete the work of the die cut. I feel like it doesn't work like that. Depends on the cut. Sometimes I need exacto. Oh, I've never done that. But mostly spike versus uppercut. The uppercut has historically caused more rips. All right. I'm wrong. Andre's weirdly wakely dick. I'm not fighting for it. I'm just saying what I've been doing. You are officially correct. I work at a board game company. You are correct. My uncle works at Nintendo. Surely my way is correct and everyone is just confused. I'll keep reforming the question in a way that makes me sound more correct. I spike it for sure, but with some extra twisting if needed. Oh, I've never implemented any other axis of torsion. Because you get to look at the pretty side of the token when it hits the table. Spike. All right, I'm wrong. I'm cool with that. Enjoy your rip tokens, you weirdos. I have my pristine tokens. Maybe Changeling uppercut it. I don't know. Neither spike nor uppercut. I used an X-Acto knife on every single one. No, I don't. What's Under's weird take? Seth, how do you punch out tokens? What is the order? It's fine. How you doing? I just cut the tokens out with scissors. I think if you put them in the microwave for like 30 to 45 seconds on high, they get softer. And then they're much easier. They like fall out if you just shake the thing back and forth over a fan. If anyone damages their property or their board game because they listen to that, I take zero responsibility. Buy a new board game and spike it. Also, you push it down into a flat surface to protect even more from rips. It's a very science-based process. If you push it down to a flat surface, it can't come out, Eric. That's like saying we opened the door into the wall. Yeah, John, I agree. I think uppercut leads to less tearing. I don't know. Do not let people pressure you into wrong takes. Amen, Oxu. Stab. It's fine. All right. Squid Game style, lick the bottom, use a pin. What are we doing today? So it was the CBI this weekend. I got to watch a whole bunch of it. Not a lot of it live because it was on at a weird time zone. Shout out to all the commentators and folks. It was nice to hear a bunch of the UK voices. I feel like I don't listen to tournaments where there's people from the UK doing comms. It was pretty great. So we have a CBI winner. I believe undefeated from the top track. Let's see if we can find some results. Why are we microwaving tokens? They get soft and they come out easy. Read a book. Why does it say that there's 17 players? Who registered illegally for the CBI finals? Kikai takes it at the end. After a sea of ops, the boat's sailing through, but it's actually dice to open deck list CBI and some Anacom crew Hosh. Again, there were some pretty good games. A lot of the games at the earlier part of this tournament were like super one-sided. Some of that is a bit because people chose the sides early, but there was a lot of games that were not very close. I don't know if that's the case or why to say about that. And things kind of like on the corp side homogenized pretty aggressively towards the top. Hoshiko ends up taking it. Let's go. But if we want to see some deck lists, this is, I think, identical to the list that was published at the last big event that went through. So the tech didn't change that much, right? We have Rotator, we have Magnet. I don't know if anything changed here. We're still on Degree Mill instead of send a message, which I think it's interesting. I'm actually getting more in Degree Mill camp and people are just dying to this. The finals game was 8 turns. I think this is an archetype that won't obviously exist in a while because of rotation, but huge shout out to Kikai. I'm really excited that Kikai won this event. Kikai's been doing a lot of work for the Netrunner community. You probably know of tracex.surveyor.com. I'm not giving it my email again. Oh, no, it's tracex.substack.com. I should have known that. But Kikai's been putting together these articles alongside Not Yeti. They're fantastic. There's no article yet about this event. It's just going to be a picture of Kikai smiling. Also, Kikai and Not Yeti together put together this thing called, well, I don't know if the name is public, but basically a way to dredge up some like basic stats and some narratives about players, which has been really useful for commentary, where you can just be like, oh, I can see this person came in second at this last event that they played at. They've been playing only Wayland. It's a really cool thing, and a lot of work goes into it. So there's like a very big care about supporting data sciences and Netrunner for whatever value you take out of those stats, and just like making things more accessible, which is great in terms of like commentary and stuff. This deck is no different. There's no changes. I thought someone would make some good changes to Asmari between the showdown and this. It isn't. It's just card for card, if I'm not mistaken. The finals, for what it's worth, it was between Amaram and Kikai. It was 8 turns before it was a double Holloman. I think there was a chance that the runner thought it might be was Holloman into Mavirus into Re-Education, but double Holloman into Re-Education Flatlines, even through double Steelskin through Audrey, which doesn't really change the math that much, because if you Steelskin and Audrey, you're only +1 card. So it helps against Punitive, but it does not really help against this sort of combo. I think the write-up of how to beat it, again, we played this on channel before. It just rips through people who are not experienced into it or not ready for it. Practice, practice, practice. Don't install cards that are not necessary. I think in the finals that did come down. Like a Keiko came down. There was a couple runs that don't, like, I guess they're turning on Hoshiko, but like you have to play this kind of perfectly and still you can get a bit unlucky. You end up only drawing through like 10 to 15 cards, and if you don't have what you need to, you don't have what you need to. So it's pretty rough, that's for sure. But I'm happy that this event, the Kikai won with this deck. There was, I think, 2 Asmari in the top cut, and this one just kind of ran through, which is great. I think the runner side is more interesting. This is like similar to, I know we saw Brandon playing something like this before. It's based off of off 15 and Torpedo Tyrus's list. This is not, this is Crew Hosh. This is not Virus Hosh. I think this one's much more straightforward to play. I think it's actually less, I'm getting a bit mulchy, kind of like Virus Hosh is, with all its recursion, is kind of, you know, annoying to play against. It's really, really annoying. And this version is on Anacom Anarch. And Anacom Anarch, I've been a huge fan of Anacom Anarch for a long time, and it's doing quite well. Gives you that extra card draw. This version is not playing Earthrise Hotel. It's not playing Patchwork. It's a bit of a bummer. Patchwork is great. And then you have some interesting tech cards here. Like there's a Singleton Light the Fire, which is kind of cool. Hannah's in here instead of, I think there was like a Fencer Fueno in the Torpedo off 15 version. There's a Tread Lightly for the influence that can be a pinhole threading. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm pretty sure that this card actually did something during the event, which is cool. We're down to single eye for eye. It was double eye for eye back at the last event that this was played at, in which Asmari was a much more meaningful thing to worry about. So that made more sense. And there's even an Ashen in this, which with Mystic Miami, Ashen's not that expensive in the late game, especially because at the late game, you play all your events. So usually this thing is sitting with 3 to 4 credits and you go from there. Let me catch up on chat. Kikai undefeated in Top Cut. Yeah, that's what I thought, because I only saw one final game. I feel like the CBI stuff I watched made me go, holy moly, this meta is toxic AF. Eric, I agree. I remember last week, like we talked about this last Tuesday stream. It was like all the top 5 corporations at North America, barring one of them, which was Bblum's op, they're all like the sort of orthogonal weird kill combos. And for what it's worth, this is like the most quintessential orthogonal kill combo deck I think we've seen in a really, really, really long time, where it's just like you have 6 turns, then I combo and you lose, which I don't think is making people excited about Netrunner. And again, this is not meant to be like a jab at Kikai. It's a great deck that the team in the UK figured out, and they've been playing it. Specifically in this meta, it's doing a lot better because there's not a lot of ways to not die at instant speed. But yeah, it's not my favorite. We'll see what that means and what we do about it. But I don't like the core meta so much from what we saw. It doesn't look like anyone's confident they can score out. In terms of like Ag Infusion, the other big scoring corporation, like very few of these decks, besides, well, actually for what it's worth, Tempo Ob is scoring out, but very few of these decks are scoring decks. There's Fast Advance scoring. I guess Asa is a bit scoring, but it's like very, very minimal. This deck, the PD deck, is actually kind of fun though. It is a Fast Events deck to some extent. Hey Gem, Tuesday stream, get a drop in for a bit, and the first time in a while looking forward to Andre recaps. And for the record, I'm on a team ambivalent ambidextrous for punch boards. I just keep flipping the board and punching it out. So they could switch decks between Swiss and Top Cut. No, Bagels, they have to keep the same decks. What I was thinking about is like this Asmari deck was played at the New Year's Showdown, which was Man in the Moon's big event with 100+ players like 2-3 weeks ago. And Asmari did really well. Did it win? I forget. But that was, I think, nearly card for card, if not card for card for this. So I thought there's a chance between that tournament and this tournament, there would be like some change because maybe people would start playing around double Neurospike and then like you jupe stat them or something. Oh, one less Enigma, one more in Smiling. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. So slightly different. Do you know what the next sets will be in 2025, 2026? We know we have Elevation coming up and that's all we know. Yeah, we don't know much more than that. Double Holloman is tech I hadn't thought about in Neurospike re-education list. Yep. Yeah, Double Holloman's great. Not only does it play around Pinhole, but you can go from Never Advance as long as you have, it's more expensive because now it's a 15 credit combo. You do one Holloman, use Holloman, res the second Holloman, trashing the first Holloman, use Holloman, and that's 6 advancements, which is enough to score out a re-education. It is a very, very line. And it's like a line Amarim, I think, saw, but was pretty confident, or at least was hoping it was Holloman into Mavirus, which Mavirus is good in that matchup. Set After Dawn is codenamed Piggy Bank. Almost no info has been released. Yeah, we don't know nothing about the upcoming set. Kikai was saying that he's so happy Amarim beat Sebk in LB final. Yeah, I think I saw Kikai wrote something about that on Sebk's list, but Sebk is also running a deck that, again, I want to be very clear. I don't want to insult people playing these decks. These are good decks. And I think if you're trying to win an event, it doesn't matter what deck you pick. You want to pick a deck that you think will win. And so like this sort of big op, which like, this thing is, I honestly think some of the worst Netrunner I've played into. I really hate playing into this, but Kikai's like very clearly very relieved not to have to play into this. For those who don't know, this is a 74 card deck, but it's only running 30 agenda points, which is a lot, but you still have to steal like 3 of these to win largely. So that's pretty difficult. 3 out of 10. The deck is huge. It has all these upgrades, which like the thing that bothers me about this deck the most is it's impossible to play around the upgrades because impossible to play around any card because it's 70 cards. It's like, it's kind of the pleasure of playing around an Ampere. It's like you have to play around everything because anything is equally likely in a salad of 74 cards. The idea is that they have all these upgrades up, which touching them is super lethal. I think we saw a last click Dirty Laundry run. I think Tuna ran last click R&D and got found a forced connection, and that was just game. And it's like, do you take that risk? Probably. There's only 3 forced connection and 74 cards. What's the chance of the forced connection last click? It was the forced connection. The idea with this is then once you have all the upgrades, you just res all of them and then you mutually assure destruction. You get that White Blade Classic. That's Eric Keel back in chat. Eric, are you happy about Mad at this point in the game? And then they die because they have a lot of tags on the next turn, which is not bulletproof. There's ways to beat it. People have beat this, obviously, to beat it, but it's like, oh, I really do not like playing this. This is very, very, very rough. Hosh looks sweet as hell. It looks really, really fun. The bottom of the write-up is for you. I'm getting roasted in a couple write-ups, I think. I'm pretty sure Not Against write-up is going to roast me a bit. In this one? Don't bother with tech cards. You won't have time to draw them? I don't know what I'm getting roasted. Which one am I getting roasted on? The NBN bannings will continue until morale improves. Yeah. Stop scoring out. Oh, Antoine won the showdown. Of course, Antoine won the showdown. Yeah, so that was NEH and Ken, of course. Antoine's a local. Sorry, Antoine. Big fan. If you feel like you're running a non-scoring kill combo deck, can the runner just not run, not draw, and wait for the corp to deck out? No, because a lot of the combos will happen. So if you don't do anything against Asmari, they flatline you, right? Like they just get a re-education on their mode server, score it with a click left over, and you die to Neurospike. And if you don't run into this, oh, I just closed it and almost spilled a lot of coffee. They just mutually assure destruction you. So no, almost all the decks, like every deck that does well has a way to close the game out. Even if it's like Hyper Glacier, which is really, really hard to score out. A lot of the Hyper Glacier Wayland decks, which were present at this event, they will just put a clearinghouse on the table and start advancing it. Like you can't not play the game because not only will they score out, but they can score out. They have points in them, but you will die to some form of uninteraction if you don't interact. Venti-Ob is gross. Yeah, Venti-Ob is like really, really gross. Sad to see Warren go. I think you're being sarcastic. Cool, Bob, how you doing? Zebk's on record as saying Venti-Ob is very bad for the game overall. Oh yeah, I have no doubt anyone who plays this knows that like this is messed up. But it wins games for sure. I don't know how you beat this exactly. Stargate's pretty good for sure. Having any sort of kill damage protection is good. I don't know what else you do. Stargate actually doesn't work that well against Warraid. Such a brutalist. I've only ever beat it with World Tree Ari one time. Yeah, it also like feels more Slotman sheeny, right? Like you just kind of have to get lucky. I know when I play against this, like either you rip the early 3-pointers or you don't. I don't know. Does anyone have a link to the CBI cover results? I can give you a link. Otherwise, you could just search on results. That might be a bit later. Gyro, how you doing? I love Venti because my friends play it. Maw eats it alive. Yeah, Maw is really, really good. And Maw into this, like it takes out their combo cards from hand if you can run. The problem is like nobody's playing Maw. Sometimes you can rip enough end lines with compilation to dismantle the kill. Yeah, you would have to rip a whole bunch of them. You need to rip like 2 of them. That seems a bit difficult. And then they can spin Doctor and back. Urban Renewal also, like, you have to consider running. Some versions of this, I don't know if they were on IZF fast events. I don't think they were. Yeah, I really don't care about this card. Anyways. Yeah. This list is probably what I would play. I think this list is really, really fun. I like it. It feels like a criminal deck. It's all about pressure. I like that the third leech is in here. I think this was shouted out by Kika. I think the leech is one of the best cards in the deck just because it makes the devil charms not be necessary. It's just very, very, very powerful. And then we have infinite recursion with the Anarch stuff. I'm not tired of it. It'll leave the format soon enough. I think Ashen Epilogue will be like maybe unplayable, but at least like a lot easier a pill to swallow in a world without labor rates. I think this is the card that is causing the sort of like mulch decks to exist, and this won't exist forever. I'm really not being sarcastic. Corp in general needs unfair cards like Warraid IMO. Yeah, it's the weird thing, right? I think, again, I gotta get roasted by not again on here. But when it comes to like orthogonal win strategies, I feel like overall, all orthogonal win strategies I'm getting tired with. And I don't know what it is. I think I'm getting a curmudgeon. But we've seen like orthogonal corporation decks that are not scoring out. And I don't think I've liked most of them. But honestly, orthogonal runner strategies, I like even less. Like, I don't like deep dive. I feel like I've seen so many decks that just ignore the game and be like, okay, I'm just gonna run 3 central servers deep dive. Oh, that didn't work. I'll do it again next turn and win. And I don't like this. It feels like we're going out the way to not play Netrunner, not care about like the parts of the game that are about multi-access deck locking and all that sort of fun stuff. Like I'm not a big fan of knives. Like I do not care that much about, what is the name of the knife now? Jaichinyo. Like this also to me feels like we're bypassing the fun part of the game that is the game. I struggle when it comes with the orthogonal win conditions. All I want to do is like play, you know, some sort of interesting tempo game. I don't know. Knives, my beloved. Ashen is a good card in 45 and Anacom Lago, but without a way to pull it from the heap, it becomes a massive risk. Exactly. I think without labor rates, that card's going to become way more of a brick. Who knows? It's on site now. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the orthogonal stuff hasn't been, it's not for me so much. It's weird. It's really hard, I think, to have like an alternate win condition or like a multi-axis that's so brutally powerful and I feel good about it. Like I'd rather just go back to Stargate for some reason. I don't know. If a corp mill strategy were currently viable, would you also dislike that? 100%. But if a runner mill strategy, I wouldn't incredibly unlike it. Like for what it's worth, I think Essa and Sabotage is kind of cool. There's ways to play around it. I do think the players who are just like ripping off the top of R&D every time and just like not icing and getting pressured down, it's an interesting matchup. I think the part of Essa that I'm not, my favorite part about is that the breaker suite and your ice suite is so incredibly volatile based off of Essa's breaker suite. So if you're a deck like Wayland that just runs a lot of, you know, barriers and then they put down a Begamut, you're cooked. Like it's really hard to not think you're cooked. And then when it's Begamut and Lamb, even things like an Archer, which there's at least ways to make that annoying. Things like border control and run back, like break an Archer for 3. At some point you're cooked. So that seems incredibly volatile, but I think Essa and Sabotage has lined relatively well. But then when it comes to things like Amor, right? Like this to me is awful. This is terrible. This is just the worst, where it's just like, I'm going to just take all your cards out of your deck uninteractively and just you'll run out of points. Like that is just the worst. Again, according to me, not neutral on bias. You want re-education ban? I don't think it's gonna happen, Turdock. That's the thing. I don't think it's gonna happen. And this is like a weird thing too, is like, okay, so say that there's districts coming up, which there are districts coming up. We'll have a segue on that. Do you play re-education as Mari at a district? Because how competitive an event is a district? Because I think it's a deck that can win events, but I think it's a deck a lot of people don't enjoy playing into and maybe won't have a good time playing against it. I don't know. Like, is this, like, I would not blink re-education as Mari to a CTK because I feel like that is a competitive deck for competitive-minded people. But where is the line drawn? If it was a nationals, I would blink re-education as Mari. If it was a district, would I? Maybe. I can't tell. And I don't think I should be the arbiter of this. I think it's up to you to decide, but I don't know. I do think there's a deck that specifically people won't bring to casual events because casual players won't have fun to it. Is a district a casual event? I'm not sure. I've seen a couple SLS that seem fully dedicated to mill, like don't even touch a single card all game. I kind of love it. Those decks probably shouldn't win. I don't think there's enough pressure unless you run. You just can't do it. But I think it's a fun thing to try and pursue. I would play re-education as Mari to district. I think people will. I think people will. Real talk, I agree that it seems like the orthogonal strategies are just the best things to do. It's cool that they exist, but the ubiquity of them is a bummer sometimes. Yes. Like the ubiquity of them is generally like the canary in the coal mine where people say like scoring out doesn't make sense. And maybe scoring out doesn't make sense against Turbine, doesn't make sense against Crew. It's up to you to decide why that is. I'm not sure if that's the case exactly, but generally when you see the whole court meta shift to orthogonal strats, it means that scoring out doesn't seem feasible, which is obviously an issue. I think scoring out should always be an option in every meta. And then orthogonal strategy should be the spice on top of it. Just like in a meta where like 80% is asset spam, that is generally a consensus that scoring out doesn't make sense. And you want a meta where like 10% is asset spam always because it's a cool strategy, but you don't want it to be 80% because it's not what people think Netrunner is. For better or for worse. I know it seems ironic because I'm a guy who plays a lot of alt win conditions, but I low-key agree. Is it more wrong to bring Venti to GNK? Yes, I would say so. I would say. It's wild. What does Essa do to Thimblerig? Put a botchless on it. Installs Buzzsaw. Yeah, there's options. Like, it's up to you to build a deck that can break Thimblerig. Some decks don't. But yeah, it's up to you. Botchless seems pretty good. Imagine shuffling Venti in person. People did. Venti almost won EMEA last year, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, maybe it was smaller. I think it was still op combo, but it was smaller. It wasn't Venti. But people play Venti in person. Venti does do well. Venti is more of a time constraint sometimes. I think you're more worried about time. And obviously shuffling adds to that. It won OTG. Okay, cool. I just brought Venti to COs. I'm a bad purchase last year. Aside from the fast events tech, how else could you reduce the prevalence of alt condition decks? I don't know. This is the thing, is like, I don't know. We've talked about this a fair bit. It's a slippery slope, right? Because you want alt condition decks to have a place. Like, people want to play their kill combo deck. They want to do something. So I think runners need to feel like they have tools, and the kill combo has some sort of obvious weakness. So it's up to you to look at like a deck like this and say, what is the obvious weakness that you can capitalize on this? And barring tech cards, and again, the whole conversation about tech cards being too playable, which makes these unplayable or not at all, I don't know. I think every combo deck should have like a glaring weakness. It's hard for Asmari. Your weakness is basically, its weakness is you ignore the board state, you play around their ability, and you just get to a spot where you can break the remote server in 5 to 6 turns and have more money so you don't get punitive. If you have tech cards, that's good. You have tech cards. But unfortunately, a lot of the game is you not like interacting until you're set up. It's very hard to go for singles for it to make any sense, let alone not take a risk where you steal re-education and maybe die to double punitive. It's up to you. So that's tricky. That's just really, really hard. But then also you don't want to be on the other side where it's like, say that they built a Stone Chip chart room that draws 3 cards. Everyone would play that because a Stone Chip chart room, it's a diesel that you can pre-install. I would argue that this card is still a bit too good on its neutral case for 1 influence. But it's not showing up anywhere. And cards like this are like the awkward spot. So I don't know. Don't play tech cards against Asmari. Doesn't help. I don't agree with that. Some tech cards buy you a turn or two. Like pinhole threading is really quite good. The problem is like sometimes it just buys you a turn, but it's up to you to figure out if that turn is really necessary. So I think you could consider playing, like I know Kikai says don't play No One Home. I think you can consider No One Home, but I think you would only play this because it helps in EA Asmari, but it also helps in other decks as well. Like I wouldn't play this exclusively because again, you only draw 15 cards sometimes. Imagine being a criminal, like you draw like 10 cards before the game's over. So having this in your deck is not super likely to do anything. So I'm somewhere in the middle. But having your deck being consistent so you can get your breakers down, bust the remote server, so be it. Oh, and run their Rashidas. Please make them res. I played against a Venti in person. It was a terrifying model of the cards. Duckland, how's it going? Anar gets through its deck too fast for having a 2-card combo break any ice in the format. Sure, but for what it's worth, like Turbine did not do particularly well at this event. But I do think a lot of the problems being presented are not Turbine problems. Just play Hosh where you draw 40 cards by turn 6. You get a DJ Fenris on turn 1. You do like what's it called? Price into price, run HQ, bring back a price. It's great. The only good tech card against Asmari are the ones that you can play 3 of: Pinhole, Class Act, and Burner. Yeah, I agree. Those are very, very good. But those are good in every matchup, and so that's kind of what you want. Somebody installed 2 Stone Chips TCA against me today on Asmari. Anyway, I won. So, well, the thing is, like, some of those just buy you a turn, but you can still set it up to blow those things out. It's tricky, though. It's really tricky. Again, I'm not super doomering about it. I do think the core meta, and specifically this event, was wild. I don't know if that's what it's going to be like at Districts. I don't think it's going to be like that at Districts. It's up to people to like get more time and more testing in. The ban list was relatively soon before some of these. Maybe a month is not that soon. But this deck is still just going to be good, and people don't like playing into it. I think a lot of people don't know how to play into it, but even if you do know how to play into it, sometimes it's just not your game, which is rough. Bridgman cooked. Oh, Bridgman's lists are so cool. I think I'm going to transition to one thing first, and then we'll come back to Bridgman, because Bridgman's decks like are solving a question that I was asking, and I'm glad that Bridgman came to some interesting results, because I've been playing Pawnshop Lat on JNet trying to get a video together, and I had huge issues where I'm just like, the Asa matchup is nearly unwinnable. How do you make this deck faster? And then Bridgman's like, check this out, and it's kind of really sick. But first, hey all, hey Andre, hope it's well. Hey Matt, I'm doing well. How you doing? I just want to share some things. Hey, I got this art in recently. You might be familiar with this Angel of the North. This is meant to be for the new season. This is Dawn, classically, or Elevation. And this was shared to me by TMKF Netrunner just to shout out something that is ongoing, which is the upcoming district season in the UK, still called the UK Regionals, just because it was last year. But the UK organized play scene is starting, and it's starting pretty fast. So I don't know if this is going to show up on a playmat or anything, but this is like the second version of last year's art, which is great. But there's some great alt art to look at. Firstly, these are some prizes. These are participation prizes as well. So the UK regionals, there's 9 of them, and they're color coded. So I'll show you what the map looks like. But if you ever go to an event that is greenish yellow, you'll get the echelons. These are by Brindamold. On the reds, that's Slash and Burn by Brindamold. And on the blue, this is the Class Act. This is by, what is her name? Yuka, who I think? The person who did the art for the what's it called? The one that's Miami Vice. I can never remember the name of this one. The one where the person is dead on the chair and they're cleaning it up. The one from Worlds, a really colorful one. Really, really cool. She does local art. She's from Montreal. She did the Depth Dive playmat. Business as usual, thank you. And that's a Class Act. And so these are all participation prizes, which I think is actually going to be really important, because the districts, I don't think have enough prize support for how big they're going to be. Business as usual, yeah. So these are all participation prizes. If you want to see it, again, your options are closing down a bit. 2 of these events have been sold out already. So London is on the 8th of February, and the 8th of March is in Southeast. I think it says Anglia, it's covered. This was just sold out yesterday. So you can see the color coding here. So if you want to pick up a full playset of each of these cards, you have to attend 3 different colored events. If you want to, again, buy tickets to these, all of these I believe are available and always be running if you want to drop in and grab some tickets sooner than later. The thing with these events, like I think London's sold out. Obviously this is sold out. These are sold out. And I think they're like 48 players or something. Like I forgot what the max cap is. But for these events, I believe the like participation-esque prize from NSG is the Spin Doctors. And there's only like 24 play sets of them, which is something I think organized tournament organizers running into an issue. If we have 50 players, having prize support be top 24 get a Spin Doctor means half the players there don't get anything, which is why the folks who are organizing the UK regionals, which are districts, are putting together stuff like this. So no matter what, if you go out to an event, you will leave with something really cool. Then the top half will have stuff. There might be raffle stuff. I don't know. NFG should have done double kits as an option. I agree. I would be really happy if NFG was allowed to double the prize support if you could buy an extra prize kit. I wonder if it's on purpose so that people are recommended to go to different events. But I do think for districts, in a lot of places, the attendance will greatly exceed the options for prize support. Anyways, this is sick. UK Regional started just last year. It was a really big success in the UK. It's a very similar idea to like NANPC in North America, as much as these are slightly closer together. And it was just a huge excuse for people to go out to travel, to meet folks, to get some good prize support and just do fantastic stuff. So huge shout out to all the people organizing. I know last time we shouted this on the channel, this had like huge impacts for like tickets, and already the tickets are selling out for a lot of stuff. So please grab a ticket sooner than later if you want to go to one of these events. They're blocked. Again, this is all the districts, so all these things will be wrapped up before Elevation is out. So getting a later ticket does not mean this will be an Elevation event, because Elevation is coming out legally on May 10th for tournaments, and you have to finish districts by April, so that won't happen. Again, if you want to find more details, you can go up and Always Be Running. For instance, this is the Scottish UK regionals on the 22nd of February, and if you just like search through the upcoming, you can find them. And so you can find tickets here. It looks like it's £20, and then all the stuff you get. I believe these arts are not shared anywhere yet, so these arts will be added to the ABR pages, I'm assuming, but you don't see these down here. But these are going to be participation prizes, and again, they are color coded, which is pretty sick. So shout out to the UK regionals runners. Hey Brennan, how's it going? Lots of the regionals have their own additional pricing as well. Yeah, I have imagined that's going to be the case. I think a lot of tournaments are going to have that, regardless if it's UK regional or not. They'll have their own like local stink that they put on it. But this is sick. So get out and go play. Again, I want to be very clear. I'll take a second here. If you're watching this and you're not from the UK, that's fine. I get it. I'm not either. But organized play is for everyone. I know I just talked about the meta. But organized play is for everyone. I promise you there is no level of organized play. This is technically a competitive event. There are casual tournament kits and game night kits, which are more casual for sure. But if this event is your first Netrunner event, I promise you that is a great place to start. Every tournament, maybe round one, you're paired against like a world champion or regional winner or whatever. Who cares? You'll lose your first round, probably. Round two, you'll play against someone else who lost their first round. And as the day goes on, they pair you against someone with the same score. So as long as you just like hook up for the whole day, you're going to be meeting nice folks who are also getting into the game. Maybe this is their first tournament. So if you're worried about being blown out and just losing 10 games out of 10, that probably won't happen. And regardless, if it does happen, I think you're going to have a fantastic time meeting people, coming out, experiencing how fantastic the Netrunner community is. It is really something else. It is something incredibly special. The first step is always the hardest step, to go out to a room full of strangers you don't know. But I promise you, Netrunner players are just so stoked you're coming out, regardless of your level of play. Any UK regional can be your first event. Any CTK, any GNK, any nationals. It doesn't really matter. Anything can be your first event. So seeing this and being like, oh, I could drive, get on the train, go 2 hours to an event, spend my weekend out there. I promise you it'll be worth it. I have never heard the opposite as an excuse to go meet people and stuff, which is great. Imagine having 8 different tournaments within like an hour and a half. Yep. Pretty cool. Local stink. Omaha districts are announced soon. Keep your eyes peeled for fellow Midwesterners. Toronto, that's not fair. Some of these events are unreasonable 4 hours away from me. Yeah, the UK is bigger than it looks. Going south to north is a bit much, but there's a train system. I took a train from London to up here to Edinburgh. It was like 4 hours. It wasn't bad. It's quite nice actually. Maybe it was 5 hours. It was good. It wasn't that expensive. Cool. Anyways, check this stuff out. That's starting. All right. So today what we're going to do is we're going to be playing a bunch of different decks from the CBI. And I want to start here because I want to show you something again I've been working on that has kind of fallen apart. I think I'm showing JNet, but I've been playing Pawnshop Lat for a while because it's just like the most fun deck. I started this and I played this on stream, and it is a Lat deck. Let's go to view, and then I'll open this one. I'll go to view. So this is Pawnshop Lat. We played this on stream and we had a great time. The short of the long is Aesop's Pawnshop. It is this card that's as old as the original core set. Functionally, a card like this existed in ONR as well. And at the beginning of your turn, you can trash one of your installed cards to gain 3 credits. Now, that is only as good as the cards you can trash to it. Generally, you want to get a card that gets some amount of value from it, and then you sell it. So not only did the card do something, but then on the way out, you got 3 credits. For the last little while, a bunch of the NSG cards that came in with power counters, when they lost their last power counter, they would trash themselves. That's a bummer. If that wasn't the case, they'd be pretty good, but also Aesop's Pawnshop would be even better. And so unfortunately, that just hasn't been the case. And so we haven't seen a lot of Pawnshop decks, as much as this classically 5+ years ago was like a staple shaper economy piece, as long as you can efficiently install your things. Let me just catch up on chat really quickly. How many years does it take not get blown out for 10 straight games? I've been playing for an amount of time. Getting blown out is my continual game plan. Brendan, as long as you're having fun, that's all that matters. Also, I know the IDs that you're playing and you're really not helping yourself. Contemplate flying out to Manila district. It's like 4 hours by plane. From where? The closest district that isn't mine is a 7-hour drive. Oof. Yeah, the Midwest is pretty big, huh? I was going to say, pretty sure it's like 3 to 4 hours between the Midlands and one on the South Coast one. That's not that bad, arguably. Like, we would drive 6 hours, no problem, to go to Toronto from Montreal. We'd be there for the weekend. It'd be nice, though. I lost every game to the UK Nats, bar one, and I still had fun, eh, Dave? Feels bad for any Netrunner players in Montana. That state is way too large. Yeah, but if you have Montana, you have access to like also Canada. You can go to Winnipeg, I guess. No, I guess you're in Saskatchewan. Anyways, this card's really cool, and I wanted to revisit it. So we're going to play Lat, and Lat just gets free card draw if you match hand size, which is good because you need cards in hand to install for Lat. And then, of course, one of the best cards to go with Aesop's Pawnshop is Coalescence. And Coalescence is really powerful because when Coalescence comes down, you get 2 to 4 credits off of this, depending on how you installed it, and then you can pawn it, which functionally means at face level, if you install a Coalescence, you gain +2 credits, and then you pawn it. So it's a click for 5 credits, and that's really good. Then on top of it, we play Lilypad, and Lilypad says the first time you install a program, you draw a card. So now it becomes 5 credits plus a card draw, and then you get an engine, right? Like this actually starts to work out. On top of that, we actually have Muse, and I wasn't totally sold on this at first, because it seems convoluted. But even if you install a Muse for 2 credits to install your Coalescence from your heap, now you paid 4 credits to get 4 credits back. And you drew a card, hopefully, with your Lilypad. Sometimes this becomes a bit cheaper with DZMZ Optimizer, as much as I ended up cutting this from the deck because I'm so frustrated because I can never spend a click to install this, even though I definitely should. But then not only do you get a neutral click, you can sell both of the cards on it. So generally when you sell the Coalescence and then you sell the Muse, you're up 6 credits. So it becomes a click for 6 credits and a card draw, which is very quite good. Let alone if you do something like Simulchip and you Simulchip back in the Muse and then use the Muse to install the Prisha, now that become a click for 6, 7, 8 credits and a card draw. And specifically, you can also do this on the opponent's turn. And on the opponent's turn, you can end up drawing a card with the Lilypad because it's first time per turn. And so I ended up playing this deck, and we had a lot of cards that we want to install and send through. We were getting a lot of money, and we had some really cool things going on here. Firstly, we were playing Boitada, which I was getting a bit ridiculed about this. It never felt amazing, but it didn't feel terrible. And I think the killer problem right now in Shaper, there's 2 issues you want to solve with your killer in the standard format. And the first one is still pretty tricky, is how do you deal with Drafter? Drafter is the most common sentry you see in HB decks, and it has very impactful subroutines that as soon as turn 2 or turn 3 become a problem. 3 strength, 3 credits, has 2 subroutines, and the problem is that there's no good killer to break this. Just play Echelon is what a lot of people suggested, and I ended up doing that, and I didn't even like that. Because if Echelon comes down, you can't break a Drafter. In the early game, you break Drafter for like 3, 6, 7, 8 credits, plus you have to install the damn Echelon, so it's not tenable. You just let it fire. So having a Drafter solution is really difficult. Another option we looked at is Nanotech, and Nanotech was also at one point in time the best killer. There's a hyphen somewhere here. But it's also very bad at a single Drafter. A single Drafter you also break for 5 credits after installing this thing, as much as it scales up. This means that there's, I think, 2 to 3 options that we could consider. The first option is Mimic, and I like Mimic. I think Mimic is really nice. Mimic breaks 3 strength and 3 strength only. The problem with Mimic is that in this meta, I do think you need a way to break higher strength sentries. While you can use Mimic and you will play Turbine, when your Turbine comes down, your Mimic is now 5 strength, which means you can get through things like a Anansi, right? However, if you ask me, a significant portion of this meta asks the question, how quickly and how efficiently can you break archers? And the problem is archers on 6 strength, which is the nightmare for every option we've brought up so far. In fact, for Mimic into Turbine is nearly impossible. So that's not going to work at all. So then we have to end into another option. The other option is we can pull out Phaserum Entangler. And Phaserum Entangler is a card I don't play a lot of, but obviously is very, very good. It's 3 influence. And now you can bypass the Drafter, which while the runner or the corporation can technically purge the Phaserum, that at least cost them some credits on some other cards. That is a nice way for you to be aggressive. And not only does this beat Phaserum, another card that we're very bad at dealing with in this deck is Gatekeeper. And that's because similarly to Mimic, we're playing Buzzsaw, and Buzzsaw coming in at 3 strength when Gatekeeper is 6, unless you hush the Gatekeeper before it's rezzed, you have some issues. We cannot break 10 credits plus the Buzzsaw to deal with the Gatekeeper, and Gatekeepers also have been running into a lot of HB. Now, the last option, if you ask me, is Revolver. And Revolver ticks all their boxes. It breaks Drafter really well, which is quite nice. It does technically break through an Archer for relatively cheap, as long as it's not sustainable. The thing with the Revolver, if it's on his last bullet, you can also Pawnshop this, which is kind of cool. It's 3 influence, but for Revolver to be your breaker, I do think you're also going to have to use a couple of your Simulchips on it or your Muses on it. And what I learned playing this deck, the way I played this deck, is I used most of my Simulchips and my Muses for my economy engine. I wanted to see if we can just use our Simulchip and Muses for setup if we needed to. But again, like maybe 4 out of 5 times, 3 out of 5 times, I would use the Simulchips to reinstall our economy engine to push ourselves forward. Because every time that we use them, we obviously got Lilypad. That's going to happen no matter what. But then we install a Muse, we install a Coalescence, and that's functionally click for like 7 to 8 credits. Gatekeeper strength to boost the static. Stavka isn't though. For real? What the fuck? I didn't know that. Is that the case? You can respond to a Gatekeeper I don't understand the rules. Play Mimic like a Gig Chat. It's not a terrible option. The problem is like you can't deal with the big stuff, and there is big stuff. Why is Stavka? I don't want to get into it. I never understand it. Maybe I can bait Cephalopod into explaining it, but. So that is the issue I ran into, is that I had problems. Other things about this deck that are cool. I was running a 2 copy of the Nyasha. Why? Because it's a cheap program to install. It gives you multi-access and then you pawn it. Eventually I was like, I probably should just play Conduit in this, which is a bit more win now if you need to. You can just put down the Conduit and win. And you also save slots. This is 46 cards. It definitely shouldn't be 46 cards. It should be 45. Notably too, we are playing Prognostic Q Loop, and this is one of my favorite cards in the deck because if we're running a lot, we get to see the top of the deck and then we can install programs or hardware. And I built the deck to be mostly programs or hardware. While we have 17 events, the rest of the deck is hardware or programs. So we can always pay that credit to get that click compressed install on the opponent's turn, which will fire the DZMZ, it'll fire the lily pad if it's a program, and that's quite nice. First time per turn, that's the corporation's turn. And then we just have more things installed, which means more fast setup and more things to pawn. That caused us to play as few events as possible and a few resources as possible. Daily Cast is just good in a Pawnshop deck because you can pawn the last click, which is fine. Paladin Puemo is just a lot of money for installing cards, and our deck does just install cards. I'm not playing Deep Dive. Probably should, honestly, but I don't like Deep Dive that much, so I'm playing Burner for some good pressure. We have Creative and Diesel, and then I actually ended up playing 3 Overclock because I found out in a lot of situations with our 3 SMCs, we'll end up with an Overclock, and we just need to overclock things because our breakers come down incredibly expensive. This felt good. I think I can show in J now, we ended up winning like, I think I played like 12 or 13 games, maybe a bit more, a bit fewer, and we end up winning most of them. So here we're at 78% win rate out of 9 games here, and then we played this on stream and we didn't drop a game. So not too many games, but we played a lot of games and had a great time. Now, there's issues with this deck. It's too slow. And so I made some changes. We were winning the matchups that we were winning, but any fast matchup like Asa Group, I think was the hardest thing to deal with. And so the changes I made to make this deck more elegant, the way that I was playing it, we ended up doing some unfortunate stuff. Firstly, I cut the Boytata and ended up just playing Echelon, which is fine for the late game, but we still have a huge issue with Drafter. And for what it's worth, Boytata isn't terrible into Drafter, but we save influence. With that influence, I ended up playing Clot, which was nearly useless. I just didn't run into a lot of fast events, but maybe this is respect, so you don't have to play Clot here. Oh, shout out to Compilation and Hosh, which have been in the deck since the early iteration. These cards are really fun. I like that. I also cut the DZMZ optimizers because I was not installing them, but I think that's a personal problem I have to get over. And then I played the 3rd Overclock and cut down to 45 cards. I also, as you expected, added the Conduit and cut 2 Nyashas, so I made this deck a bit samey. I cut the boy, and honestly, Cephalopod, I kind of regret it, because we're going to see Bridgman's deck that is tackling this issue in a way that solves some of the problems that I was running into. So I was recording gameplay for this, and I don't know if I have anything to show. I think the last game I played was against Eric from Neon Static, and it just bodied me. Where like I cannot set up, I can't break early gatekeepers, I can't break drafters. Well, we can deal with the assets with an early Parisha. That's kind of all we got. And then I end up being like, I'm going to put down a Conduit and just try and win off of R&D. And I think he scores out 7 points very, very quickly, which is a problem. Let me catch him, chat. Stavka's conditional ability with a trigger, Gatekeeper's static ability you directly turn off. Stavka acts like a Stargate run, doesn't matter what happens, but why? Why is the text difference? No reboot, it's 15 credits. Yeah, but Itadi, it's a setup card, it's 5 influence. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I think what I learned is that this card probably should be cut. It's a really cute card. It's a really fun card. I quite like it. But this is the sort of thing where if this was in your opening hand and your economy was not established, it was useless. Because you cannot afford to hit this button until you're set up. So probably should cut down to 1 copy or no copies, and that'll give you influence to solve some of the other issues. We're okay at assets, but we're very bad at dealing with early gatekeepers and early drafters, which is pretty common. We have nice enough tech to not die to certain things because we can lily pad on our opponent's turn to draw a card with Simulchip or SMC. But this deck was still like in the slow to mid-range matchups, we had a chance. But if the corporation was playing fast and quickly and had a concerted, like a focused game plan, we honestly couldn't catch up that easily. So not great. Influence to play reboot. Now, Bridgman played 2 really interesting decks at the CBI Top Cut, and one of them was a Lat deck, and just the choices here are super inspired because they solve some of the issues that I've been running into, and they also revert to some of the things that we originally started on. So firstly, the Breaker Suite, we're still on Buzzsaw, we're still on Cleaver, and mind you, I wasn't on Cleaver, I was actually on one Propeller, which is this deck on Propeller? It is, which is a really nice cheap thing to get down, and then 1 copy of I was on Pressure Spike, and I also wanted 1 copy of Pressure Spike just so that we can get our 6 strength Echelon, so we actually install 4 breakers that was worth something, and went back to Boyd Tata. Now this version's also on 2 Turbine, which kind of makes sense. For what it's worth, Boitada is actually really good once you get a turbine down, because you are breaking like Drafter for 1 on a lot of board states. You can get through an Anansi for 2 credits with 2 turbines. Otherwise, you're breaking it for 3 credits. Like, it's actually pretty good numbers as much as it requires you to do some setup. The best case for Boitada is like things like Tithe and small sentries. 1 strength is a bit unfortunate, but the idea is that once you are set up with a single turbine, you can get through like 2 credits to get through, I don't know, Saisentan. Like, it's kind of cool, and I honestly don't mind that. Some things that I think are weird, and I haven't read the write-up yet. Same thing here. We're only on a single self-modifying code, which I think is fascinating, but we're on 3 muses. I don't know why that is. I think we're not on overclock at all. I need to read the write-up to figure it out. We probably should, but there's a very different change there about how we get our breakers, and that might have to do with the Anarch influence we're spending. We're still in a Hush run now, Cupulation, so we don't have that sort of control to take away combo pieces and get some pressure, but the Hush has been really good to me. Our multi-axis is entirely conduit. We don't have any sort of HQ pressure. We have more economy, burst economy, but that's all we have in terms of like pressure, I think. We're in Coalescence, we're on Muse. And then this is where things get weird. We have 2 Stone Chip, which is just a good card into the meta for Lat, let alone. It's just draw 2. You can technically pawn this if you want to. This is a Pawnshop deck. Environmental Testing showed up. I did not play Environmental Testing. I thought Daily Cast was just environmental testing for this sort of deck. And it's kind of true. In a Pawnshop deck, Daily Cast is 6 credits, but it's 6 credits over a couple turns. Environmental Testing might be 6 credits in 2 turns. And so the question is, how fast do you think the game goes? And so I understand why Environmental Testing might show up in the list. We have a DJ Fenris, which can do anything. I think Bridgman DJ Fenris for like Sable in some matchups, just to be able to make free runs and touch R&D every once in a while. That's kind of cool. Otherwise, you have the classic options like Lou. And of course, you have Run HQ, get a card back. You have Hannah, which is just a really good card into assets in general, let alone gives you flexibility, allows you to do a lot of cool stuff with Hannah. It's not bad at all for 2 influence. And then things get weird here. We're on 2 Lilypad. I don't understand this. Lilypad was like one of the best cards for me. This is like, I needed the MU as much as on more SMCs. And then he's on 2 DZs, which is the pill that I probably should have swallowed at some point. And this is just the coolest inclusion. 3 copies of Price is kind of exactly what the deck needed. I was struggling to get my cards on the table as fast as possible, as cheaply as possible. And while I haven't seen Price out of faction, paying this 1 credit, ripping through the top of your deck, and installing a program for 3 less, and then just getting your other programs in the bin for Simulchip or whatever, seems good. It just seems kind of fine. I imagine you can get some ugly prices for sure, but this is exactly what I need to be able to play against Asa Group. It's like, I price, okay, I get the right thing, and I start running. It seems so good. Bridgman is talking about his decks at the very moment. Oh, I think he streams. Yeah, he might be streaming at the same time. There's a link here if you want to check in. I'm going to check in after. I apologize for streaming at the same time. He's probably explaining it. But this just seems so, so cool. As a way to deal with some of the problems I had with Lat. The price to speed the deck up. I feel like I'm worried because you could price pretty poorly. I think Gachapon took a slot like this as well. And I think there's a chance in this version of the deck that's on Prognostic, if you're still on Prognostic, you could probably play a couple Gachapons. You have a couple virtuals, but Gachapon can just accelerate you, and you can fire it on the Corporation's turn, which means that you can fire Lilypad and Simulchip. So that might be like a considerable deck slot. And then you can use the Gachapon to take the cards out of your deck, which are extra copies, things like the extra Pawnshops, the extra Lilypads. And that might be a way that is also interesting to pursue. But it's just a hella cool deck as a way to play Pawnshop, except it's a bit more explosive. And I think that was the issue. It's like we were not explosive enough, as much as this is like a bit different than I would expect it to be. Very, very, very cool. Very cool deck. The Corp deck I think we'll also check out. But yeah, Bridgman streams on Kitchen Table with Bridgman. Looks like might be live now. So if you want to follow that, I think it's a pretty good time. Is he live right now? Yeah, he's live. That's cool. Bridgman's a great player. I'll have a link to that in the description. I feel like because Bridgman's streaming right now, I'm not going to play his deck. I think we'll come back to this later in the stream maybe, but I want to hold on to this. I think this is fascinating. The other side of it too as well is the Wayland Op deck that is running Oberth Protocol as a card that you can take out of your deck using the Eminent Domain. People grab ice with this. You don't have to grab ice. So with the Eminent Domain, you can go grab your copy of Oberth, and Oberth says every advancement is 2 advancements. Which, again, that is technically a click for a credit with Wayland built to last, and then you can start scoring out anything fairly quickly. Buy a vault, install a single advance, you're good to go. Install advance at NGO front, you're good to go. You can install advance your ice, just very, very flexible. It's low-key funny that Dex is just like, hear me out, what if 2 turbines? And I think it's right. I think we've seen 2 turbines before. I think 2 turbines, firstly in that deck, gives you some consistency with price, but 2 turbines is honestly the answer when your killer is Boitada, let alone if you're expecting a Ag Infusion. I think 2 turbines Ag Infusion actually really does help a heck of a lot. And we're on Cleaver, we're on Buzzsaw, so it'll help. Turbine is quite good. because you're running R&D for pennies. Like there's no ice that you don't break for pennies with Hush, Double Turbine, and Conduit. You can close the game out, I'm assuming. Now this list scores to 7. Sometimes if you don't score an Eminent, you're in a bad spot for sure. It also plays Standoff, so people are actually playing the little mini game. That's a text joke. And then otherwise it's like super straightforward. NGO, Hedge Fund, Rashida, and Go. Surveyor seeing amount of play. I think this is the sort of deck that people, if they don't know what the deck does, will like misplay against it to some extent as well, because they assume it's Wayland Glacier. I think I want to play this as well. This seems like good jammy BTL. That is kind of quite fun. I do think I've seen it lose off centrals a fair bit. It's hard to ice up everything because they do that sort of eminent rush where they just build a remote server. I think you have to ice up R&D a bit, and then it's kind of tricky because like not all this ice worked well on R&D. I think Message Chessful might be your best guess. The standoff is so funny. I got into some trash wars when I played on JNet. Yeah, it is really funny. And like the fact that BTL scores this, like imagine you spend a click scoring this, gaining a credit. You don't actually really care about this text. But I've never seen, I actually have seen people play this with the Oberth because standoff is a Jemison-esque card. But the idea is that you score this out on top of an Oberth and you still have a turn left. And that was always the hardest thing with standoff is say that you mandatory draw to 6, you do install advance Oberth and then it fires. Then if it, you know, you win the standoff, you draw a card and gain 5 credits and then you have to discard a card because you're now back up on 6 cards in hand. So scoring with an Oberth and having a click left, obviously firing 2 would be good too. It gives you the ability to jam the next card in the remote server. As much as a never advanced 5-3 does not work because Oberth is only first time in turn, which is unfortunate. It loses a lot in R&D because you thin your deck so much with Eminent and Tucana. Yeah, that's another thing as well. You're pulling cards out of your deck very, very consistently, non-agendas. So you have to watch out for that. I do think every matchup I saw where this lost, it loses off R&D because HQ is safe because they just jam into the remote server. I think I saw Ba also play this yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. This deck is really cool. Again, Bridgman is streaming. If you want to pop out here and check it out, I do not feel bad about that. Please, you can. Otherwise, I wonder what else we're going to play today, because I'm going to wait for Bridgman to maybe stop streaming before I play Bridgman's decks at the same time Bridgman's streaming, because that's a weird look. Let's just play Anacom Crew. It's going to be fun. Gonna be fun. Again, shout out to Kikai. I have a district coming up. I'll let you know as soon as I know more about it. I haven't received the prize support. I haven't received a mailing thing. Like, I don't know if it's out yet. As soon as it's out, we'll organize something. I'm assuming, like, people are now running districts in January. I don't think anyone has the prize kit yet. I don't have it. I think there might have been a slowdown with the playmats. Hey, Duckland. Prov. So we've been playing against this Prov a fair bit. It does run Advanced Traps. It runs Clearinghouse, which is not great. In terms of asset tech, we have none. I know the crew Hoshes that I've been last playing are playing Miss Bones, so the asset tech we have is just Hannah. Only 2 Lagu, interesting. Not playing CBI Corp winner, makes for short content. We did a whole stream like 2 weeks ago that we played it, and yeah, it is short content, that's for sure. So this matchup, we need to keep our money up. We want to be checking but clearing tags. Devil Charm Crew definitely deals with some of the ice. In fact, every ice in this deck. Strike Fund Steel Skin is whatever. I think an early Onacom would be good. This deck doesn't have Sure Gamble or anything. Oh no, it does have Sure Gamble. Of course it does. It plays a lot of events, so I think we can just like mulligan this hand. It's frustrating when you get eye for eye in your hand and you're like, oh, I took the tags from a Check of Cyan. I'm going to blow out HQ. And then you realize that you can't play the card. I don't think Tread Lightly matters that much. It is a bit of a blowout. But this is the matchup where I'd much rather have Pinhole because Duckland plays Ubiquitous Vig. And so this is where like I don't think it's always as good. Somebody linked the ShadowNet episode. I think I was talking to Whiteblade that the amount of like positive feedback about the Prov Devos episode is really funny. All right. So I don't think we do much here. We actually can just like send the eye for an eye and hit Steelkin and Strike Fund. Duckland kept the hand. Right? This can't be the play because this is really expensive, but it draws cards and gains credits. It flushes the hand. It could be a Spin Doctor. Force reses. I don't want to force reses that much. If it's a ping, it's kind of rough. If it's a Messna Chesso, she's bankrupt. That's fine. I know she's on Vasilisa, which is like whatever. And the thing is, like, if you don't run into Prov, it makes it impossible to score at a 4-2 usually. So here we often like just set up and don't do anything. And then next turn we can consider running. Now, if it's a Rashida, that's obviously bad for us, but if we face check into Rashida, it is whatever. With Hoshiko, we should touch a card. I'm just going to eye for an IHQ. I don't care. Let's play the fun card. I've never resolved one of these in a way that feels great. If it's a Spin Doctor, she could res it. Okay, she'll advance server 1, I'm assuming. Trashing 2 Strike Funds. It's going to be Strike Fund Steel Skin, I imagine. We could keep a steel skin for an Urtica check. That might make sense. Okay. All right. Glad to trash that. So I think we'll do the steel skin. We just need to draw deeper. I think our deck is different now. This has to be like just peak checkist.deck. I feel like that worked out really well for us. We trashed 2 terrible tag punishments after giving ourselves a tag. So now I think we're just going to sure gamble, remove tag, draw. This now looks like a mess in Chesfo. And she clearly is on like Oppo and Checkist and stuff. If she gets a Rashida, I don't think we're too upset about it. So I think we just do draw, gamble, remove tag. We get the Hoshiko flip. Oh, we don't get the, yeah, we do get the Hoshiko flip. Because we accessed cards. Yeah, because it's an access ability. Very cool. Single advance, then she draws. Interesting. So this could be a 4-2 that like Crypto Crash. It's fine. This turn we don't actually have to run. She's on 4 credits. This could also be an NGO front, but she's on 4 credits, so she's no longer threatening to res a Mesna Chesfo. So we could like sure gamble run this. If it's a checkist, we end up taking 4 tags. No, 3 tags. Which is like just the joy of checkist, I guess. We don't have a lot of pressure. For what it's worth, this version of the deck doesn't run Stargate, which I know the version I have played, so I don't know actually how you win with multi-axis, because we have literally no multi-axis, which is kind of rough into a deck like this. Like, this is the exact sort of deck where you'd love to just drop a Stargate and say, like, I'm going to win the game sooner than later, because now you're stuck playing this kind of game. And this game is a bit attritional. If she scores out a Crypto Crash, though, she's also cryptoed. Wait, this deck actually has a twinning? Oh, it has 1 twinning. Okay, never mind. It does have a twinning. Excuse me, I missed it. All right, I think we're just going to take a turn off. Not deal with Prov. That's fine. We have a buffer drive, right? Sorry, I keep flipping. No, we don't. We'll just keep drawing. Has 20? Yeah, I missed it. It's a 1 of. You got to correct me in chat. I was looking for a Stargate. I was looking for a compilation. So she could have scored this out and she didn't, which makes me think that like we do not care to run that. Which is probably the result that we're going to come down to, is we're not going to run that. Could be a clearinghouse, but if she could score it and she didn't, she also could have hedge fund here and she didn't, so I don't think this is worth anything. We could be wrong about it, but like the only thing that we're worried about is like, if she keeps convincing a clearinghouse, and then eventually we have a problem. So we'd have to deal with that sooner than later. That's the problem. It's like if it's a clearinghouse and it's an Urtica, we need to deal with it now, but we actually probably could do nothing for a bit and see what happens. That's good. We could run archives. I think we do nothing. Tread lightly HQ. I'd rather not. I think we just do nothing. We could have played a strike fund there. Actually would have been pretty reasonable because we would have drawn a card. Okay, you see? Lost the Banhar, got the Hana. And now she advances. She's on 2. So this could be 5 tags. It could be 5 damage. She can't res this. If this is advanceable. If it's in the catch, she can res it. Unless we tread lightly, but I just want the card in hand. We could tread lightly this. So this is either 5 tags. I think if she scores an agenda, what are we worried about? Hana run? If it's in a kit, we'll end up with a tag. I don't think we need the Hana run. If anything, we might tread lightly it. Because it draws a card after. Yeah, this is a fine use for this, but like, I'm pretty sure she knows we can get in there. This just plays around her thinking that she can res a Vasilisa or she can res an Aket. But this is probably a trap. It's a clearinghouse. Okay. Cool. Oh, this deck's on liberated accounts. Sick. So she might be on, if she's on these, like that's probably checkist. She could be on public trail. So if we install the liberated and take 8 off of it and we get public trail, we can pay for it. We also get the Hoshiko credits, which is good. Is this a light the fire use case? We can install it and see if she does anything. You're right, though. If we're worried about a trap, we're going to keep this in our pocket. I think that's a really cool call. Kato, how you doing, by the way? All right, so we don't care about this, I don't think. We're just not going to run this turn. Because if she advances and cryptos us, she cryptos herself. So I think we're just going to install cards. We can install Light the Fire and ask for action. She probably won't. We can install Hana. We can install Twinning, and we can just hold on and not touch anything this turn. We won't Anacom draw. I'll ask for action. It doesn't really make sense. If the Spin Doctor, some folks pop it. Maybe we shouldn't have shown this. Sick. That is so cool. Install Light the Fire and your opponent, you just ask them and see if they flinch. And like, I get it. Yeah. She needed the credits. That's really funny. That's really, really cool. So we're just going to take a turn off here. Doing all right. Scrounging some lunch before afternoon stream. Hey, get some good lunch in. Yeah, Light the Fire is like, but it's really annoying is that anytime before we run, if it's a spin doctor, like she technically, if she installs a spin doctor, has to just like pop it. All right, we have crew, we have Anacom. This is our first crew or double charm. 2 ice. Single advancement, we don't have incentive to run here, so we're just not. Again, unfortunately, prop devost. There's a lot of turns where running doesn't make a lot of sense. So what do we want to do? We can install the Amakua and start running archives, but that's running. So we probably just set up. She did do a good job putting them on the table, so we can get free Hosh value, but I think we're just gonna... Do we hit the Liberated or do we keep it? I think we actually keep the Liberated so that if we do get cryptoed, we have a refund button. It might actually make a lot of sense to keep the Lib around and just click for credits. We can strike fund to draw a card. In theory, we did the order wrong. But yeah, Liberated on 4, it was a nice way back in the day to play around things like closed accounts and market forces and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, if we're tagged, she can trash it. It's also a card that if we hit a degree mill, we can shuffle this back into our deck and not feel terrible about it. Because while we did take 12 credits off of it, we took 12 credits off of it. Light the Fire is a constant threat, feels like a deck building space that's underexplored. Yeah, it is kind of cool. I reckon some corps will like forget about this and misplay into it. But I don't want to run because I think we just click for credits. Like, again, I do think Prob does force this. She doesn't have a lot of money. Like, advancing is very expensive. We can strike fund. Second crew. Yeah, that's fine, I think. This means that we can tag our way through, double tag our way through a Mesny. Yeah, Prob does do this, which is unfortunate. It's kind of interesting with, you see overinstall. It's kind of interesting, at least with Hoshiko. The timing of Light the Fire is just so bad, makes for headaches as a judge. Yep. You should just ask. Like, just be clear as a runner. Like, don't risk it. Be like, anything you want to do, and then make the run. Just always ask. So single advancement. So if it's a checklist, it's 4 tags. If it's an Urtica, it could be the same. We're going to get a tag when we run for sure. I don't want to Hannah it because we're probably not going to make a successful run. She double advanced this. We're pretty sure this is a Mesno Chesvo. Because she didn't res it when we Light the Fire did. Not that you often do. Unfortunately, we lost one of our Devil Charms, but this is the same situation where, like, if that is a 4-2, maybe it is the remastered edition, but otherwise, I don't think we care too much about this. So, like, we could Dirty Laundry Archives and get a bit of read of the trap space. She'll probably advance this. If it's a Tomorrow's Headline, we could end up in an awkward situation. But we could Dirty Laundry Archives, get to 2 strength, and then run this, maybe? Still Light the Fire and staring at the corp. This react is great. Like, I should ask for action. The question is if we're running or not. I think we can Dirty Laundry Archives and see where the advancement goes. So we're going to advance this, I'm assuming. 2 checklist out. Oh, that's huge. And she didn't advance this. She advanced this to 3, which makes me really think that's a Niket. And if that's a Niket, I think we're just going to ignore this and just fill our leech and run archives as many times as possible. I don't think I want to buy a bands. I'm going to keep the buy a bands for a turn in which we take a tag. But I just want to build up this and we'll Hoshiko flip. We found 2 checklists, which is really important. What if it's Whoredom? We'll delete it with crew. Stoke? Sick. We don't care. So now we can run HQ, no problem. We have 5 on leech. We have no way to charge the twinning. What are we on? Like 2 mystics, I think? It's a logjam? That's fine. We'll delete the logjam with crew Devil Charm. She can't really res a lot of ice. So we either buy I think we just run HQ and see what happens. We probably can draw once here. Ugh. Do we buy a bands? We really want to find a mystic before we play this, but we have too many cards in hand. We'll buy a bands HQ. If we end up taking a tag from a ping, we can clear it. Yeah, 4 counters means it's less likely to be anything besides logjam or infinite scaling tree line. No res, cool. So leech, we'll draw 2, install Bonhar, advance the ice, I take it. It's a Holloman. We'll trash that. We don't need the Amakua counter. All right, so I think we'll just install a card here. We can run last click. The other idea is we can run HQ here and then install the Devil Charm. That's fine. But now we can destroy any ice. If she purges, we just run archives and then she doesn't have anything to advance. So I think we just click for credit here. Again, I know I have a liberated account. We're just going to keep the 4 credits on there for an emergency. Good. Now she can purge next turn. So we're just going to force HQ here. I'm going to put Banhar nowhere. Oh, that's really good. We do have multi-access. Sick. That's really, really good. So we'll put Banhar on archives. We'll install the Copulation. 2 mystics in the bottom. At least we have the Ashen. I just don't want to lose the Ashen to damage. We have 1 more labor rates, I think. Or did we lose it? We didn't lose it. So we want to force her money because if she purges next turn, we can still blow it open with Crew Charm, but we need to force the money. Data Loop. Okay, so we definitely blow this up with Leech Crew. It's going to cost us 2 cards. Oh, it's also going to cost us a tag. I think that's a good trade, though. I think that's a really good trade. So we have to encounter this. There's no way around it. So we can give this to Devil Charm. If we give this to Devil Charm, it becomes 0 strength. If we leech, we take a tag. And then we can buy a Band's HQ, clear a tag. I'll take the tag. So we just put stuff on the top of the deck that we want to protect. So we can't hit it from snare. So now it's on 4 strength. We'll do Crew to take a tag. And then it's a 2 strength. We'll just do leech, leech. And then we'll trash it. So now she doesn't have money for snare. Let alone she can't purge. Okay, it is a degree mill, so we can... Unfortunately, we're shuffling the top of the deck, but we can put the lib back into our deck, I think. We're safe to punitive. I honestly don't know if we need a Lagu. I think we're happy with the Lagu, though. Put the Life Fire back. All right, so then we'll buy a HQ. This will draw 2 unknown cards and clear a tag. Leech, draw 2. So now she can't purge again. We'll remove a tag. Remastered. Okay, we can just win this turn. Like the Fireback is the cheapest install you got? Yeah, for sure. So if we run last click, she can't snare us. So if we hit a tomorrow's headline, we win. We haven't got her copulation. We could not really get tag punishment because she can't really afford to oppo. In theory, like on 3 credits, we can always just like hand her the remote server to get an Amakua counter because I don't think she can afford to res, but we can go R&D here or HQ. We'll just go HQ. Okay, good game. Oof. Good game. Any more in there? Again, I do think against Prov, like figuring out if they can threaten the board state or not and just running at the right turn. Like I think we've played into this matchup a fair bit. It gives you a lot of agency. So as another degree mill in there, there was all the degree mills in the world. Yeah, we only touched, I think we only touched like 5 cards and then 2 in archives. So we actually, every card we either trashed or stole. Oof. Oof. Yeah, that's pretty rough. She drew every agenda, but I don't actually know what she does if she draws agendas here. Like, she can't really afford to jam them. We're lucky that we saw 2 Checkists, but again, if they don't pre-advance it, you can just walk away. And so it's 2 Vasilisas. It is a tree line, which we called that. Message Chesso up here. We didn't realize she advanced it, and then a ping on archive. So we're still in an okay spot because she can't really afford to purge. She's on 3 credits, so she can't put ice down. This is where like this feels like a criminal pressure deck for sure. But we just touch cards. For what it's worth, the cards that we trashed in the opening hand didn't end up mattering because tags did not connect. But that was a really good feeling eye for an eye. I don't think I've ever played an eye for an eye felt that good about it as much as it did not matter, I don't think. All right, let's run it back. It's Asakune. Hey, how's it going? I think last time I played against Asakune, they were playing a version of like Shoot the Moon HB, so like your digital life and stuff. I don't think they were on Big Deal. We talked about it. Let's talk about this hand. Early lag is really good. Devil Charm is fine. Raindrops for pressure. Anacom is okay. This is going to be a fast matchup. We just need to get down to our ice destruction as soon as possible because Shoot the Moon, like if we can just build the remote server, it can snowball. Doing well, thanks. I think this hand's totally reasonable. We always want to run on turn 1 because of the text on Hosh. So here we'll probably Anacom, Raindrops, whatever. Then we'll get Lagu down and pass. We'll keep this hand. Asakune kept as well. So Beck, how's it going? Draw, Yodel, pass. Oh, Greasing, cool. So that's fine. So we assume there's an agenda in hand here, but we can just kind of do whatever we want. If we do Anacom into Raindrops, we're not going to be able to steal Ikawa. This deck might be up on 3 Ikawas, but at least we have some time here to set up. Not the fastest start. MIC, good to know. That's hard for us to deal with. We need to destroy that. So here we probably draw once more. The Tread Lightly is going to be really good if the MIC hits the table. And then install the Lagu, get the Hoshiko value. Mystic or Lagu. We don't have events in hand Mystic really cares about. Tread Lightly is whatever, but we would need to get a card draw first. We'll be on 3 credits next turn. Why not Raindrops the ice? Because the face check will matter. All they want to do is set up here. It's like, it's probably a 1 in 7, which is kind of the same here. I think we could, but at that point, like Asakune probably won't res. I just want to get the money up. I think it's an okay idea. Okay. So here, We can just tread lightly and see what happens. We'll be on 2 credits, so we can't trash too many things. We could like Strike Fund first, which will put us on 6 credits, so we can at least like deal with a Tranquility Grid, which would be important. We think this could be the MIC. If this is the MIC, the tread lightly is looking really, really sharp. So we want to deal with Rashidas, we want to deal with Trank Grids, but Trank Grids is really expensive. So the other option is we could like Strike Fund, get the liberated accounts down, and then tread lightly. But then we have to run last click, which if we think this is an MIC, running last click is pretty good. If it's a drafter, it's a disaster. So if we think this is the MIC, we can do Strike Fund, liberated, use liberated, tread. But if we are not worried about getting the lib down, which is a bit of a slow card, but is the only econ card in our hand, I'm going to take some risks here. It could be a Gatekeeper. It's probably not drafter. Go with the Wolf 2. This is unfortunately not Wolf 2. This is still a pretty aggressive criminal wolf. Unfortunately, we're credit short of dealing with Trank. I hope for Rashida is a Trank. Bummer. Yeah. I think we actually might have been better not even tread lightlying it, but Asakune wouldn't res. So we think it's MIC into this. We probably should have trashed that, but it would have cost us not getting our lib down. We keep Hoshiko drawing, which is totally fine because we have 3 hedge funds on tap, so we can afford to pay credits. We could take a turn off here, but that tread lightly was not bad. I predict a magnet over spin dock. I think it's an MIC. Her start, like clearly she was drawing for something. I know this is like a Judicial Life deck, so sometimes you just want to set that up. From next turn, we probably like just buy bands for setup. If we coupleation, we'll coupleation a Seamless if we find it. We'll coupleation a Yodel, a Tattoo Bola. Draw. Okay, that's fine. I wonder if she just wants to get the first Yodel off the Digital Life. Yeah, there you go. So that's 5 credits. Not bad. Trank. Push. Gain 2. We get a card 2. Strike Fund. Onacom. Oh, so sick. So sick. So 13 credits, MIC. So we can run that last click if we want to. But we are just have an absolute spoil of options here. So she definitely has agendas in hand. We're pretty sure this is MIC, so we want to run last click. I don't think I want to raindrops it. So here we can start by advancing R&D. That'll put us on 2 credits. I don't want the Hannah because we don't get tagged. So we can like liberate accounts, buy a band's R&D. It draws us 3 cards, which is again too much, but we can just discard our worst cards. We just need to get down Amakua because Amakua is going to be hard for her to deal with. So let's hopefully draw an Amakua with this. You do get the counter. Oof. So what do we want to install? I like playing my trap speedy deck, sad forever. So Hannah is like, we know this is an MIC, we're pretty sure, so we don't want to run that with the tag. Mystic is money, and we have a lot of events in our hand. Coupleation is like some threat. Install Lizard, yeah, it's probably the Lizard. We'll take that Eternal threat. Luckily we got the Mystic down. We keep drawing cards for some reason. And we have 1 click left here. So we can just run this last click. If it's the raindrops and she reses, we draw 3 more cards and she's on 7. If it's Seamless into a 4-2, then like she's also kind of popping off. So it's either we run this with raindrops or without raindrops. We're pretty sure this is an MIC, and running MIC last click is good. This will draw functionally 3 cards. I think that's fine. This forces an MIC res last click, which is where we want to get it resed. I wish we had an Amakua by now. So we're going to draw a lot of cards and we'll just discard our worst cards. So worst cards, check. We have to get rid of 6 of these cards. So Lago, for sure we don't need. Laborites we don't need in our hand. Devil Charm is kind of important. So Bias, Steelskin, Strike Fund are fine. Eye for an Eye, I think we're actually not going to need in this matchup. It deals with Seamlesses. It's not bad, but Coupleation can like see a lot of cards. We have to get rid of 3 more. I think this matchup actually won't come down to the Ashen. In theory, if we mill our last labor rights off of Lagu, we can't do it, but I think the game's going to be over before we labor rights or Ashen anyways, so whatever. Eye for an Eye is goated. Keep it? I honestly don't know. Wheels discard. I kind of like Wheels. Eventually we're going to trash the server, and like Wheels lets us deal with Ikoas and stuff like that. The second Devil Charm might be it, because I don't think this deck can purge, but there's like Gatekeepers and stuff. Baya needed. Baya is good card draw, and we have Mystic. It's really quite good. It's a lot of click compression. We want to be running because we're going to get Leeches and Amakuas. 2 credits do nothing. I kind of like Wheels. I honestly still think it's the Eye for the Eye, but the Eye for Eye with the Steelskin Strike Fund setup is something. The problem is that we can't get into HQ. I think it's this. We have to get rid of 1 more. So Baya I want, Steelskin I want, Strike Fund I want, Coupleation. We could get rid of the second Devil Charm, and hopefully Leech just gets us there. So let's see if she just seamlesses out at midnight 3. We can get some pressure. There's a chance actually Strike Fund's the worst card because we have money here. Oh, red level, okay. Maybe she needs to find another Yodel here. Or they need to, excuse me. Sorry. Piece of ice on R&D, cool. So not all this ice can be rezzed. A lot of this ice can't be rezzed, and this wasn't scored out. So we have a window to have pressure on. Drafter's a bit frightening. RLC into Yodel, though, is neutral. Yeah, but it can draw you deep into the deck, like, kind of clicklessly. Click 3 is drawn 22 cards. I know. I know. Okay, so I want to Steel Skin here to find Amakua, and then we'll buy Advanced Archives. This draws 4 cards. Nothing. Okay, Banhar is really good. We can take a Hoshiko turn off here. So we can just do like Gamble, Banhar, Leech. Again, it looks like it's struggling to score out, so it might just be a defensive upgrade. But Banhar is going to give us the pressure that we want. Running Archives was fine, because it does draw a card, and we have more money than sense. Okay, it is seamless. So let's see. Off-World Office is fine. That is whatever. I'm assuming the seamless goes back. So there's definitely agendas in HQ here. We're just going to Banhar in HQ with, I think, the Baya bans. Ooh, actually, no. This is tricky what we want to do here. So we'll put this on HQ for sure. It has good money. We might have actually wanted to run this, but it's scored out, of course. So I want the Copulation. I want the Devil Charm. We can take up to 3 damage on the face check. Yeah, I think we just do Cup and then hope we keep here. And Raindrops would force probably no res. Oh, we'll go with the Raindrops. It gives them a hard decision anyways. Gatekeeper, okay. So that's just 2 damage. Ideally, we keep, well, we'll see what happens. It's good to get that out of the way before our Amakua comes down. This is a Banhard, so it's going to be 2 damage. Yep. Onacom fires, which is nice. That's our twinning. And we lost the Baya. Midnight 3, we're on game point. We've drawn some cards. Still haven't found an Amakua yet. We can't go back. We might actually not need this twinning. I think finding an Amakua is going to be pretty important. Very important. Yeah, it was really quite good. I need to find an Amakua. Okay, so we have an Amakua. We don't really need to show it this click. So we either can get another leech down or a twinning. Twinning doesn't really have a way to get charges over the next turn. So I think I'm just going to run Archives to get a leech counter so that we can contest this remote server, because I'm assuming it's going to push next turn. Do we want to host any of these cards? No. Sometimes stealing a Seamless is okay. We know that Asakyun has 1 Seamless in hand. Red level. Okay. Looking for the cards. Still 3 clicks. Yodel is +5, I think. Ooh, expensive. I don't think it can afford to res all this stuff. Found her second turtle, lost the Light the Fire. Light the Fire is actually pretty good, and that's assumedly a Spin Doctor. So we're going to do Hoshiko, get a Labor Rights. Okay, that's our last recursion piece. Mystic has a credit. Banhar we're going to put on server 1. So we can do Devil Charm Amakua run. That means that we can't deal with that much. We actually just need leech counters. If we can force 2 reses though, Asakyun might not be able to score out. I don't know what this is. Could be a Spin Doctor, but it actually might make sense to push something on the table. If it's a spin, we can chase it out. We won't get an Amakua counter. But if we get an Amakua counter, like we can do Amakua, Archives, run server 1. That might be okay. We'll have a lot of counters. We don't need the Devil Charm. Might be over before it matters, but might be careful to Banhard the last Labor Rights. It definitely is going to be over before it matters. We're on game point. Otherwise, Asakyun can win in like 2-3 turns. We're not going to need to recur our whole deck for sure. So we can run HQ for 2. I think that's actually pretty reasonable. We don't want to steal or trash, but if we steal, we win. So it's either run Archives for no credits or run HQ for 2. Yeah, cupping the Seamless will actually matter. And then we still get Amakua. We know it's a 1 in 4. I think that's fine. We can pay 2 credits here. We don't want to let the draw. Sometimes the draw is fine. Spin Doctor to draw makes sense. Okay, it's a Managarm. I don't want to trash this. I'd rather cup the Seamless. So I think we're just going to walk away here. Amakua on 4. Amakua on 4 means that we, if Asakyun can res 2 ice, if the inner one is a Gatekeeper, they'll be bankrupt, but... So we can just run this. And that means the MIC we can deal with will be on 4. So Leech Amakua. So if it's a Drafter, that puts Asakyun on 3. So here we can run Archives to be on 4-5. That means we can deal with... Yeah, I think we can run Archives, run server 1. We can also run HQ, run server 1. I think we just run archives run server 1. Res means agendas in hand could cut back. It also just means that they're protecting the seamless. So it's either archives or HQ. We know we're going to have to break 3 credits here. You can always trade the MIC. Tattoo Bola feeling? Yeah, Tattoo Bola feeling would be okay. That's pretty good for them if this is a Tattoo Bola. And unfortunately, we ban heart server 1. Sometimes it's wrong to ban heart because if it's a Tattoo Bola, we have to go through it. We can't let it fire. The remote server might not make sense. I think they feel under pressure that they just have to go for it. I'm just going to go archives and play conservatively. So let's see what happens here. If it trades the MIC for this run, I think we're happy with it. If they do. So it's a drafter that's ban hard, so we can just lose 2 cards here and save leech counters. So this has to be a tattoo, and if it's a tattoo, we can just jack out. So we lost Devil Charm and whatever. What else did we lose? An Amakua, that's fine. No further. Okay, so if we break the MIC, we only have to break 1 subroutine, and if Asakun wants to throw the MIC at us, I think we're okay with it. Because again, 4 strength, so we have to do bop, bop, break at the end of the run. So if it's game, it has to do it. They have to do it. If it's a Rashida, they might just give it to us. Looks like we're going to end the run. So they can score out, but it's like pretty Pyrrhic. They no longer have a scoring server. Now that we know when Dawn is coming, it suddenly hit me a little time I have left with my favorite FFG cards. Anything you haven't had a chance to make work that you want to try pre-rotation? Oh, that's an interesting question. Ooh, Offworld into Jam is good. ADT is the best score of this deck. It might not be on ADT. I think it's on 3 Offworld, 3 Midnight Ikoa. I'm not sure. 10 credits is a good comeback. Now, we know where the seamlesses are. There's 1 in hand, 1 in the bin. So if Asakun has double seamless, this can be Ikoa into game. So we actually have to be a bit careful. Mystic, so Gamble's not bad. Well, I think we take the damage to save the drafter credits. Yo, Bob, how's it going? So I think we just do Gamble, run Spin Doctor, run server 1. Then we can run HQ. Again, I don't think we need the twinning. I want to deal with the Spin Doctor sooner before we trash like a Rashid or something in here. I'd have to check. I don't think so. There's like some niche cards I would like to re-explore. Like some of the weird cybernetics is really fun. Late to the party, been watching Bridgman talk about the CBI decks. Yeah, I wanted to play Bridgman's decks, and I realized Bridgman was streaming. I'm like, okay, out of respect, I'm not going to play those. Because I want to hear about, I want to watch that stream after, because I want to hear about Bridgman's Lat deck. Because I've been playing Pawnshop Lat, and there's some really cool decisions that Bridgman came down with. A Virus Purge, okay. So on sell, that's fine. We can click through the 1 subroutine that matters. If this was a Brawn, we'd be in a much worse spot. But that's fine. So trash installed runner card, we don't want that. Install a card from HQ or archives. Not great either. Trash installed runner card. I wonder what they trash. I'm assuming it's the Amakua. And for what it's worth, if the last Amakua goes, we have no recursion. So we have to just click that, and it's gonna, I think they're gonna get a Rashida back, maybe? Fire Trank. So I don't play around this card a lot. It's not super common, but it's a card you should play around to some extent. If that was a Mavirus into on sell, I think, or into, sorry, Hagen, would be worse off. So I think we'll do that. So we'll see what they bring back. There's no Rashida in archives. It could be an HQ. No matter what, they get a Trank trigger, which is pretty good. We're going to be running with a click leftover anyways. Yeah, that's a pretty well placed on sell. As much as that was a 9 credit play. The Trank will help. Ooh, Lagu. Sick. Good for everyone. So that was a card. We don't know what it is. Holy crap. Asakun could win here. Double seamless into score is perfect. We can touch the card, which means we'll still get Amakua. But if this is an Ikoa, oh my god, wait, it nailed it. That's incredible. That is so good. I think they have the win now. Yo, we totally get got. Yo, that's sick. Assuming they have the double seamless in hand. Please do the double seamless. We know where 1 seamless is. Oh no, it was spin doctored back. It might not, they might not have the 2nd seamless. Because we know there's 1 seamless. Oh no. So we know it's in the remote server. Oh no, they don't have it. They have 1 seamless in hand. 1 was shuffled back. The other's in R&D somewhere. So now they can put an ice on it that we know that's a Managarm. We'll just go ahead and trash. So we have to just get in there and deal with Managarm, which should be possible. All right. So Hoshiko, Mystic, Banhar on server 1 is fine. So we just need to deal with Managarm into that. If it's an Anoetic, it's a kind of a problem. But we should be able to sort this out. So if we do Devil Charm into Crew, we can destroy this ice, and then we don't have to deal with it. Otherwise, we can just do Devil Charm into Amakua, and then we can just break all the subroutines. That's also fine. HQ twice and run server 1. It gets blown into Mavirus. I'd rather just do Devil Charm. I think it's safer just to do Devil Charm. So if we just do Devil Charm run, then this is free. This is 3 credits. So Devil Charm run puts us on 9. Then we break it, we're on 876. Then we can play for Managarm. You can let the trash card subfire. Yeah, in a pinch we can. If it's Anoetic, we're in a bad spot. That was a really cool play that they pulled off. I was very scared when you touch the card and you're like, oh shit, I lose to this. But I'm pretty sure the best line for us is just install Devil Charm, because then we don't deal with the Mav. We don't need the crew. I think Devil Charm Amakua means we can make this 0 strength. This doesn't fire because it's bound hard. Then we get through this. We can double click the, we don't want to double click the, we know there's a Managarm because then we can't steal the Ikua. So we just run this. This is 3. We have 4, 5. So we spend 8, 9, 10. We're credit perfect here. We have no way to make money. Oh, we could lib first. If we lib first, we're on 7. Sorry, we're on 2 clicks. We're on 15. So then we spend 3, 8. I don't think we need a lib first. I just don't want to mess this up. If we don't lib first, we have a click left, so we can just run HQ. That might be worth something because we can win or grab Seamless. So if this is an Anoetic, we might want to have the click left over because this is 2 damage. This is Devil Charm in 3. That lives is on 8. We pay 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'm just gonna run this. And if this messes up, we have 1 click to like do liberated counts, run HQ. In theory, we could let the on-cell fire, but I'm gonna play around Anoetic because we can afford to. I don't think this deck's on Anoetic, but we've seen very little influence besides. Besides your digital life. It's Anoetic, you can pivot HQ. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because then they'll only have 3 cards in hand, so it's more likely we'll connect to something we care about. So this is Devil Charm. Don't care about Mavirus. Be nice to get this down early. We would have played around Mavirus. It was definitely worth getting one that's down, just to respect Mavirus, I'm realizing in hindsight. We'll just break all this. I don't care too much. For what it's worth, also, when they install the Managarm, they could trash the agenda and then get an Anoetic back. So I'm going to pay 5 here, and then that should be game. Ooh, that was a close one. GG. That last turn, you definitely had me. Shame about the Seamless. That was really, really cool. Yeah, I think getting down to Devil Charm just to respect Mavirus into Hagen or Mavirus into anything is probably worth having it down for safety. I don't think I realized that Mavirus blows us out. I felt like we were super in control until exactly that great play that they made. But to the point, I felt pretty good in control. Hey, Eclipse, how's it going? Cup from HQ. What are good cup targets? Just about anything. So cup is really cool. So at a basic level, cup is like C4 cards on HQ, right? Because you run HQ, you steal 1 card. So now they're on 1 fewer card. Then you run back and you see 3 cards. So if you ever just need to send it, you can send it. The big cup target we want in this matchup is specifically Seamless Launch, because I can't show you Seamless Launch. The corporation usually uses Seamless Launch to advance their agendas on the table without pre-advancing them. So they had an unadvanced Ikwa on the remote server, which means to win next turn, our opponent needs Seamless Launch for 2 advancements, Seamless Launch 3, 4 advancements, and then single advance. And if that's the case, Cupulation, if we steal 1 Seamless, causes them to do a lot more work. Maybe we put it a bit slower and put the Managarm into server 1. Maybe. It's tricky. You don't have time to purge. You need the purge to line up really well. Did you have a spin there? Yeah. If the corporation has a spin doctor, they can save the agenda. If they have an ablative, they can over install the agenda and put an ablative in archives and hopefully get a spin. Yeah. I think you might just want to install the spin on top of the agenda that turn, because you know I can get in. Yeah, the spin doctor, probably they needed to save the agenda because they know we can get in. And we still technically have to run it to some extent, depending where the spin is. Like you can install upgrade here, spin here, and then we could still be worried about that being another Ikwa if the deck's on 9 points of Ikwa, which I don't think it is. I think it's on 2 Ikwas, unless it's also on send a message. You needed the click for the Aqua? Yeah, we needed the click for the Aqua and the 2 credits. So if it was an Anoetic here, we would still have 2 clicks and 3 credits, so we can like run HQ and hopefully cup something. Thanks for the game. Cup operations, yeah, it depends on the matchup. Against a lot of like kill combo decks, you cup their kill pieces. Sometimes you can cup the oppo. I don't think it makes sense. Cupulation also really works against some interesting things, like some upgrades get cupped. I think the one that shows up the most is Amaze Amusements, as much as it's not super common. If you cupulate a persistent card, it is no longer installed, so its text doesn't matter. It says this works even if this is trashed, but you didn't trash it. Because you didn't trash it. So you actually can get away around things like that. But generally you'll cup things that your deck struggles to interact with. Sometimes you'll cup ice. Sometimes you'll just tempo cup to get cards out of hand and get multi-access. But it's also a nice way when you're running to deal with trashing a card without trashing a card, so you still get Amakua. So you can always like cup a card from HQ, like a Spin Doctor, and then still get an Amakua counter that matters. Another really big thing about cupulation is if there's a Mavirus in Archives like now, we can run Archives and cup the Mavirus. So now Archives isn't poisoned, so then we can run back and get Amakua and more leech counters. Like cupulation, it's funny enough, it's like better than Heliamphora for like in some ways for dealing with Mavirus, which is like a really, really, really big turning point. Because we were getting counters just running Archives. So the corporation needs to poison it. I'm out of coffee. Okay. Cup a knife? I don't think you can do that. Come to UK regionals limo. All right, this might be not Yeti. Mind you, we shout out UK regionals. Oh, I think I closed the map one. Hold on, how many undo tabs do I have to do to get to this? This one. UK regionals is coming up. Did I close it again? No, it's here. That's really funny. Blame Not Yeti for this. I don't know who this is then. In case you didn't see, you can start playing Pawnshop Lat now. Okay, I will after this. Atea, cool. I haven't played into Atea for a while. Seems like a fun thing to play. They're probably on some amount of Mavirus, so Amakua is okay. Now we have Sure Gamble into Amakua into Raindrops. Lagu's really good into Atea because they want to install things pretty consistently. Best of luck, have fun. Now there's a couple of Atea decks. There's some tag ones, I think. I've heard of them. There's like the ones that are all playing Surveyor. Those are kind of neat. There's full Fast Advance. I know Kato is playing that at CBI. We got to see a bit of it on stream with Audacity and Moonpool. This hand is just like, okay. Amakua, Sure Gamble, Raindrops means we can just touch centrals. It's Lucy. Oh, it could be Lucy. Yeah, that would make sense. Lucy does like Atea. Ooh, yeah, the pieces are coming together. And Raindrops into like an Anansi is okay. I'm going to keep this hand. Generally, for the Atea decks, like if they score an early Sisyphus or something, it gets messed up. Again, there's so many agendas that they score it, the game gets messed up that like it just feels so volatile where it's like, oh, they squeezed one through. But this sort of deck doesn't usually have a lot of money. So getting an Amakua down and just hammering everything generally works out well for you. Because they need to put so many cards in their remote server that they don't have cards for centrals, and pressure is really good against Atea. Luckily, we're technically a soft pressure deck. Again, I think this deck plays like a criminal deck, which is really fun. Did maybe Lucy Mull? Yeah. Wholesome Sisyphus versus Toxic TPR? Okay, whatever. TPR is at least pretty cool. Trashing the regions is really important in this matchup too, because usually like La Costa, sometimes Jinja shows up, and sometimes Tranquility. They're all very expensive to trash, so you're spending 4 to 5 credits. So trashing those like totally guts the speed of Atea. All right, our opponent knows the top of R&D. Looks like we might not get an Atea install. That's fine. 7 credits means like Saisentan we just lose. I don't know if I want to take that risk. I think we can just do Amakua, Raindrops, Archives. It's kind of low value. We already have enough money here, so we can maybe draw for a Baya. At least we have a Tread Lightly. If we do Amakua, run Archives, like we want to get the Hoshiko flip, so we touched a card. That's sometimes a downside to playing an operation on turn 1, is that I can run Archives. That gives an Amakua counter, so we can deal with Tattoo Bola at a minimum. Need the draws. The draws are going to be okay from Raindrops. Like we're pretty sure that we're going to Raindrops HQ next turn. I think R&D was installed first. Hansei, okay. So now there's more credits. I don't know if we have to be worried about punitive. I can't tell this is better than Pinhole. I think I like Pinhole so much more, but this has not been bad. It's not been underperforming. It's just like the slot. I know what card this could be instead. The one to Tread Lightly could be sick here if you can be patient enough. The thing is, like, if you res a tattoo for 5, we're pretty okay with it. But if it's like can't res an Anansi or a Teeny or whatever, if this is a Sisyphus deck, that's a huge difference. Last click Mindscaping, okay. I think the ordering there, you could always argue for something different. I think we can afford to keep Hoshiko drawing and just get viruses. There might be a virus in the bin. A card was thrown out. So this could be a really short punitive game. It's JNet casual. I don't think I can play around punitive. Adrian, so Glacier. And this is the worst card in the hand, mind you. So we can just get Amakua up to strength. I think that's honestly kind of fine. And it forces him a virus or a purge. But yeah, sorry, this is not exciting. But this is probably the play we make. We can now deal with every ice besides Cloud Eater. And Wraparound. And Swordsman. But all the other ones. Notice how Atea hasn't fired. I'm imagining at this point, like running HQ is going to be important. So this is a pretty good raindrops run on HQ. We might see a res here. Tattoo Bolo would be pretty okay. There you go. So we can bounce off of this, I think. I think we actually do bounce off of this. It gives us card draw and it denies the Bola. I think we now raindrops R&D. We just want to force every single res so we can get a lay of the land because next turn's probably a purge. Okay. Moonpool, so it is fast advance. So this is a deck running Audacity, small 2-1s and 3-2s, and then some bacterial programming. So if we steal bacterial programming, the game's going to be messed up. There's no way around it. So we just need a pressure. We need to force reses here. Not a great single axis. Back pro on click 3 is like not great. Mindscaping, okay. I don't know what we do. I think we just click for a credit. I'm assuming we're gonna get a purge. So we need to find our crew. We probably should have drawn, yeah. That's okay. So it's Steel Skin in hand. The thing we can get down is twinning, and then we can just like raindrops R&D. I think that's fine. If this forces a res, this is okay. Even if it's an Anansi, we don't flatline. We hit a Steel Skin and Strike Fund from hand. But we basically just need to force reses because if you're not going to res here, we're going to get our Amakua back. So this seems like an expensive card. Triple Advanced Hordem. Vampire Nasa. Okay. So we still draw 4 cards off of this. This is annoying. We have to destroy this sooner than later. But this is just going to do a lot of subroutines. Gain 2. Didn't hit a Steel Skin. Lost a Tread lightly. Going to give some cards. We're going to draw some cards after this. We technically dead to Snare, but I don't think the fast events deck can afford to run Snare. Another Tread lightly. I know, it is what it is. So now we should probably just drop a bit and try and find our crew, because we need a crew charm Vampire Nasa. Even just crewing a Tattoo Bola is a totally great trade. Die to Snare. Saisenton, great. Woo! Okay. So Devil Charm, we can spend 1 run to get back in. We're pretty sure that our opponent here has ice here. So I think we can just take a turn off and set up a bit. I don't know if we want to show the Devil Charm, but we could just do Lago credit. We're still like getting free card draw from Hosh, but we probably won't run next turn. And our opponent can score out like Audacity, Moonpool. It takes the agendas from hands and shuffle them back into R&D. So allowing your opponent to draw cards into this sort of fast advance is pretty good. Yeah, lag into Atea seems cracked, especially because it's gone this far and there's been no remote server. And I know, like, I want Atea to be good. Unfortunately, it's like central pressure is so rough into Atea because your game plan doesn't really work. It's weird that Asa can make the game plan make sense, but Atea just seems so much harder. Don't think Deca Snare is exactly what I like hearing when corping. For what it's worth, there's almost a Snare Atea in top cut from Bushi. So like there is a precedent. What's the best draw here off the top? I think a crew. Well, that's pretty good though. So this might be an Adrian sliding over. That could make sense. A Vovo. But this is a liability if this is not a Mavirus or something that can move here, because now we can farm Amakua counters. You have to be careful. Credit. 9 credits. Okay. So we can just run server 2. I like the chance of the Strike Fund getting hit is pretty unlikely, but I think we can just do Strike Fund Gamble. Check this. If it's a Mavirus, whatever. It could just be a Spin Doctor. Okay, that makes sense. We can run this last click. If it's a Nancy, it's not great. We're actually pretty sure this could be a Saisenton. So I think we just take a turn off Hoshiko and assume this is a Rashida. So I'll just put down the Devil Charm. We didn't touch, so we can flip out. I just don't want to face check into it. It's not the worst because of Steel Skin. And paying 5 is actually a lot. We were talking about Vampy a while ago. What do you think of Tollbooth? Verum, I don't like Tollbooth a lot. Because Tollbooth does... There's a lot of problems with Tollbooth. It's very expensive. The face check is not incredibly impactful. Like the face check is just lose 3, but look at Vampire Nasa. It doesn't end the run, but it doesn't just lose 3. It loses 2 and 2 cards, and then you generally res this for 5. Another big issue is a lot of the cards that see play in the standard format that bypass or deal with ice, that you don't break the subroutines, they're good at dealing with single subroutines or double subroutines. Things like Boomerang, things like Botulus, things like Phaserum Entangler. All of those are good the fewer subroutines the ice has. So the like very uniquely worst place you can be for a big ice is a very tall on encounter subroutine 1 sub. Single Botulus, you still lose 3 credits for sure, but like that is totally fine. Compared to Vampire Nasa, which like breaking it is expensive, letting it fire sucks, and it's hard to Phaserum it, it's hard to Boomerang it, it's hard to Botulus it. Like Tollbooth is, I think for what it's worth, Messna Chesso is just such a better card than Tollbooth, if you want to compare those two. Yeah, it's cooked by a lot of things. It used to be one of the best cards in the game a long time ago, and then people would play Femme Fatale for 9 credits just to deal with it because there wasn't a better way. But it's just very difficult. It's asking for a lot. Okay, so Lacoste into 4-2. We have to force some reses. Oh, straight to Audacity. So this is a Moon Pool, I take it? No, just Hybrid Release. Oh, that's a sick interaction. So now one of these can be installed. Better being stronger, not more fun here. I don't think Tollbooth is particularly fun. Like, for what it's worth, I think Vampire Nasa is also more fun because there's more decisions for both players. I don't think Tollbooth is particularly fun. It's just 8, and then they lose 3. It's like, oh, okay. So I think it's not only better, but it's more interesting and more fun on more board states. As much as like breaking Vampire Nasa is actually kind of annoying. Yeah, this is sick. This is pretty sick because they can install one of those cards that they Audacity'd. So this is a Spin Doctor. This is an upgrade. Diogen posted a deck locally where it was like Kakarenbo into Hybrid Release, and like that's kind of cool. Like I kind of want to build that deck because all your cards are face down, so you spend your whole turn to get 1 point, and then you're any card out of archives, which is really fun. Yeah, Kakarenbo. I just don't like Kakarenbo. I wish it didn't exist, but yeah, crew coming is definitely a concern here with the Devil Charm. We've seen no crews, and now there's some crew respect on HQ. So server 3 is a Spin Doctor. We want to chase that down. This means we can roll through Tattoo Bola this turn because they might not have ice in hand. Occurs to me that the account name Come to UK Regional should be on his mark. Yeah, maybe. So what are we doing here? I think we're just running the Spin Doctor, chasing it out. Now this draws into an open HQ. If there's no ice here, we can run it. We're pretty sure this is a Saisantan. This is some ice that was pitched. It's a face down ice, so we don't know what it is. So in theory, we could do like Cupulation run HQ. I think we do Leech run HQ. I'm not sure what we want to Cupulate. And so if the Tattoo Bola swaps, so be it. But there's a chance that there's no ice in hand. What was shuffled back in? I didn't pay attention. Audacity, okay. So there is ice in hand, so we're gonna hit a Tattoo Bola here. Should install the Cupulation, feels bad. So now at least we can deal with Saisantan. We could run back. If it's a Nancy, it's a lot of money. I think we just need to draw for a crew. We get the Hoshi Go Flip. Yeah, we need a crew a year ago because we can just blow open the server and then do Amaku Leech for days. Server 2 could be a virus. Luckily, Devil Charm is always a panic button. This seems acceptable. We'll draw a crew and then we can blow up anything. All right, we have still 24 cards in our deck. I think we're gonna start with the Steel Skin. Then we have the crew, so we can just do Sure Gamble, Onacom. We don't have to show the crew this turn. We're gonna get this down sooner than later. We can get it down this turn and we will, but the problem is we already click 1, play the Steel Skin. So if we play the Onacom before the Sure Gamble, it won't work for those watching because this is the first time. It's not the first time since it was installed. It was the first time on the turn period. So we'll get that down. Now the Strike Fund is worth keeping. I don't think we want to show the crew. I just don't know what else we install here. We know there's a Tattoo Bola in hand and that's all we know. We're going to flip back. I think that's fine. We can't install much else. We can install the Cupulation. It's whatever. First guess on all 4 Gordian Blades today. You do all 4? I probably should do Gordian Blade on stream a bit more often. It's just like hard because of chat. Like I want to do it, but then if chat says it, like, am I doing it? I like Gordian Blade a heck of a lot. I use it to freak out Maddie when I get into one in Eternal and she's like, what the hell's wrong? Like, how can you do this? And I feel like I could probably use my skills in a more important way, but hey, I'll tell you what the art on Diana's Hunt looks like any day of the week. Lost the Mystic. It's a bummer. All right, so don't know what this is. Tattoo Bola in hand. Server 2 has probably Rashida in it. If it's Lacoste into an agenda, we're worried, but I don't know if this deck is on Lacoste and Audacity Fast Advance. So we need to start making some forward motion. We can do crew into Dirty Laundry HQ. We want to blow open HQ, I think. The Tattoo Bullet will try and grab with the cup. I think we can just let server 2 go. So we should have 2 credits to blow over in whatever this is. It's a Saryevna. Very cool. It's all good. So this looks like it is a tag-based deck. I don't think it wants to give us 2 credits. They want to give us 2 credits. Atea deck has done almost no Atea things. It's the Atea problem. If you have to ice up Centrals, it doesn't do anything. I could break this. Not at all. Yeah, they don't often need to give us 2 credits here, because at the end of the day, we're probably just destroying this ice. I think we won't use the Devil Charm. We'll probably end up taking a tag, but this clearly means that they care about tags. So Snare is a thing we have to watch out for, because I don't know why they play this unless they have some sort of kill combo. They might be doing hybrid release into, you can do hybrid release score into Reaper function, but you probably do that in PE. Tell value is so hard to get on more than 50% of turns. Yes, there's a lot of turns where it's very, very difficult. No undos. Okay, so they res for 4. We have another Devil Charm, so we can Devil Charm this, or we can just take a tag and destroy this for 2. Watch out for Phonotria, I guess. Yeah, Phonotria, you can always let the subroutines fire. It's also 2 strength. I think we just like crew this. I don't think we use our Devil Charm. So if we end up with a Snare here, it's pretty bad. This means we can still have the credits for Copulation if we find the Tattoo, which we'll steal. Bacterial. This card so much. I hate this card. So happy for this thing to go. Now the game is messed up. Just messed up. Do we die to Punitive? Probably. Yeah, Devil Charm is limited. It removes itself from game, and we know there's going to be like a non-seas and Vampies and even maybe Data Wards. This is really making me want to go to UK regionals. Oh, you should. Oh, I get why you're saying that. You get to see Atea. It's fun. You'd rather have Obo in the game? No, I'd rather have none. Thank you. So here we definitely want to like farm leech Amakuas. The problem is we're tagged. So we can take a risk running back and floating a single tag. For what it's worth, 2 Mindscapings are out, so we have Steel Skin. I think we actually might just, no, we probably won't float a tag, but it's either or. Okay, I'll take, it's actually a hard, the problem is it's hard. You lost all your programs to what? Okay, Onicom, we're in 7 credits. It is add 1 to HQ, trash 6. So we want to steal the Tattoo Bola. We want to get Leech Amakua counters. This could be a viral, I guess. Saisentan we don't care about. So it's either we remove a tag or we go back. We're on 3 counters, so we beat Saisentan, we beat Tattoo Bola, we missed the Tattoo Bola. Bring back Future Perfect. Yeah, honestly, I'd be okay with it. We're actually okay into Punitive here. It's a Lacosta into a Charlotte. Okay, so we have to deal with that sooner than later. For what it's worth, the turn that Lacosta into Charlotte gets res is not amazing because you basically pay, you get a credit and a card. Now, it's a lot of stuff for us to trash. Let's not get that twisted. But like when you pay 3 for Charlotte, you can let it fire. You have to just deal with it now. Hedge Fund might have been the card that was added back. Our opponent knows the next 5 cards on R&D. Trace and 2 agendas that remove programs or hardware. Oh yeah, you played against Trojan Horse. Sorry, that is rubbish. I'm sorry you had to play into that. It is a pretty terrible card. I don't like a card like that. Sorry that happened. Material catagramming. Additional cost for this, steal 4, rearrange 7. Trojan Horse is def S+ tier cringe. It's like really not what people want Netrunner to look like, I don't think. Not a neutral. Okay, so that can be 2 strength or 5 strength. We definitely want to like rip a crew off the top. Hunter Seeker, at least Hunter Seeker, like you didn't run archives, right? Like you stole an agenda. And Advancing Charlotte, I like that play. It's better than clicking for a credit usually. Trojan Horse or Hunter Seeker, I'd much rather have Hunter Seeker. It's not effective on every board state and it's a double. Was Hunter Seeker any card or was it just program? Any card. Yeah, okay. That's weird. Run Escape Net and hit twinning instead. I think it falls in this exact same camp. That was for chat. Okay, so what are we doing here? We can run the remote server. We're pretty sure this is a Saisentan. We need to deal with Charlotte at a minimum. We don't know what this is. This is probably a Tattoo Bola. If it's a Saisentan, it's also not a great res because we just leech through it. We can face check here, I think relatively fine. We only have 6 credits. In terms of the money in the deck, we still have 1 lib. The Singleton lib I've been pretty impressed with. We have 1 more strike fund. That's mostly it. I think we just run this and see what happens. If it's an Anansi, it's like whatever. We can always like double charm it. We don't have a crew here. What material would be Corp can look at the top 7, rearrange, draw, trash any number of them. Runner needs to take damage equal to the number of cards trash to steal. That would be like, that's honestly the text to trash cards that do damage to a limit would be interesting. It'd feel like a real cost. Let's see the Cloud Eater. Show me the Cloud Eater. Cloud Eater makes sense because this deck cares about tags. So I do think there's a Cloud Eater in here. Holy crap. Okay, I really wish we had a crew here. It's an Archer. So Archer blows up our whole board state. So we're going to have to Devil Charm this. That's an absolute shame. Now we need to get in here with 2 credits. We're assuming the Saisantan is 3 credits, but then the Charlotte sticks. Hunter Seeker says trash 1 card, doesn't specify runner card. Yeah. That's fine though. That's okay. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that. Leaving has it going. So we could end the run here. We have used our charm, so we can break all the subroutines on here. I think giving our opponent 2 credits here is not great because money actually does matter. We're going to have to find our crew and just blow this up sooner than later. It doesn't need to specify. You can trash your own programs or your own cards. It just doesn't do anything. So we can break for 4. We're on 2 credits. Then we can still contest Charlotte. So if Saisantan gets rezzed, we can break 2 of the subroutines and then they're equally bankrupt. Yeah, I think we'll break all of it. We'll probably just play Strike Fund and click for credits. I don't think that's a big FFG problem. I think if you want to say it, not say it. We would love this not to be a tattoo ball. I think this is a Saisantan. Hunter Seeker says trash 1 card, so it doesn't even need a target installed card is written. You cannot trash cards that are not installed though. I think that's inherent to trashing. Like this one does say trash 1 installed program, but you can't. You don't trash cards from hand, right? Do you? I don't think you do. It is a Saisantan. Okay. So we have a decision here. If we let the Saisantan fire, there's a chance it hits the Strike Fund. If the Strike Fund gets hit, our opponent names event. We are going to have the money to deal with Charlotte regardless. If we break the Saisantan, we're down to 0 credits. And then we have basically maybe a 1 in 6, a 2 in 6 chance of hitting the Strike Fund. Because this says, fire all and run through. If we lose the Devil Charm, it's pretty bad, but I think shutting down the Charlotte's a bit more important. I think we will fire this. There's no way we flatline. I would love to keep the Devil Charm, but the Steel Skin and Strike Fund make this a pretty good run. The Leech is the next best card in our hand. I'm going to just fire this. Nice. Good start. Oh, we lost the Devil Charm off the rip, though. We lost the Amaku. We didn't lose a crew, though, but we lost a Banhar. It's not great. So mixed bag. We also did not hit the Strike Fund. So Charlotte's going to go for a walk. Yeah, the formatting and terminal directive is very, very bad. Like, I want to be very clear. It's very bad. There's a lot of cards that are not correctly formatted. All the trace cards don't care if the trace is successful. Pretty rough. No matter what, too, we're bouncing up the Costa, so we're getting... who knows? Oh, yeah, we could cup the La Costa. I think we do cup the La Costa. Just like when someone says that they could trash the corp cards to play for Endless Hunger. Yes, I think that was Zach. But you cannot pay costs using your opponent's cards. It might have not been in the rules at the time. Okay, so I think we would need to take this La Costa. We still get an Amakua. We kept our Strike Fund. We've touched a card with Hoshiko. On 6 credits, we can safely run HQ. We're pretty sure this is a Saisantan or it's a Tattoo. We can bounce the Tattoo. I don't know if our opponent can res everything, though, so we can start checking stuff. Yeah, it's cool. I'm going to miss... Amakua might be the card I missed the most in rotation, honestly. Like, I get it, that's super frustrating, but it's just such an interesting card that incentivizes you to play Netrunner and run. And I love it. Do we not install Mystic? Yeah, we definitely install Mystic. So maybe we actually just do, like, draw, credit, Mystic. I could see myself doing Strike Fund. Have we played an event? No, we trashed an event, so we drew. But, like, I just want to get... we are on 4 counters. I don't think our opponent can purge. All right, draw, whatever. I think we do draw Mystic and pass the turn. And then we don't lose a credit to Hoshiko, which is a nice play pattern. If you can end your turn on 0 credits, just do Hoshiko before you do any start of turn gain credits clauses and you're okay. And then from here, we can strike fund, gain 4 credits, draw a card, and then we'll have enough to start touching cards. We definitely want to find a crew. In terms of our recursion pieces, we have 1 labor rights in our hand. None of our other 2 recursion cards are in the bin. This looks like a matchup we might end up ashening because our opponent has a lot of work still to do. And Moonpool does remove itself from the game, so you can play 3 of them, but not that much more. Hey, Holy Sorega, for each point of damage suffered, 1 card is randomly trashed from the grip. So you can trash from the grip. Wait, that's cool. 10.4.2. Executive functioning, a trace that did not actually care if it succeeded or not. Yeah, it was executive functioning. It was home guard. Cyber. Hedge fund. Oh yeah, that's true. Our opponent knows the next like 3 cards on top of R&D. I want to be clear, the website is not cyberfeeder.com. Trashed a crew, but got a crew. So like everyone's equally happy. So Mavirus or Spin Doctor, we should check one of these. Game type casual just to keep playing the old cards. I love the turtle art. I don't think I'll end up playing casual. Like, I like playing standard. Basic action, advance, Adrian, slide. Nice. This was Mario, we could have been out of the game by playing Lat, SMH. You can play Eternal? Yeah, I would play Eternal before I play Classic, for sure. Okay, so Adrian into agendas look like what the push is. Now, this is going to cost some amount of money. This could be an NGO front. Adrian's hard to deal with as much as we have a light to fire. So we probably start with a strike frontier. It's the only way back into the credits. It draws a card. All right, so we have 1 more Devil Charm somewhere. We have no more Devil Charms. They're all in the bin. So we're going to have to do our recursion loop soon. We're pretty sure this is a Tattoo Bola or an Anansi, and we just need to get our breaker up, but we also need credits. We are struggling for multi-access. We can run HQ and C2. The problem is I don't think there's agendas in hand. This is the next agenda, and then it's about the top of R&D. So it's just about getting counters. We can get down the crew. We need to destroy the archer. We can destroy the archer this turn, but we end up floating a tag, which seems to be the name of the game. I don't think we want to ban her, honestly. I don't think we want to ban her. If anything, we could do like Leech on HQ, but we might just take a Hoshiko turn off, let's be honest. If our opponent scores out of 4-2 and it's just an off roll, that's pretty good for them. So maybe we should just do 1 pressure run on HQ. We'll have this option. Leech honestly might be better than installing this. Oh, this keeps us drawing cards. That's ugly. We can see all the hand. We know this is either a Tattoo Bola, which will bounce, or if it is a big ice, we can deal with up to 6 strength. 94 pages of rules seems meek in comparison to 300 MTG. Yeah, but you have to do like the page per decade, because there's a chance that the ratios on the page per decade is kind of reasonable between the 2 games. Just check out. It's a Saisentan. So we are going to break, I think, just 2 of those subroutines, and then it will be bankrupt for Hoshiko, which is fine-ish. Don't worry about it. This makes it slightly hard to score out, so it has to be an off-world office here. We'll see what gets called. / undo click. Labor Rights is the best card in hand. Steel's going to be fine. No, Event seems good. Our hand is pretty mixed, actually. So we know the hand has a Tattoo Bola. I think that's all we know. We could hit a snare last click. It'd be pretty bad. I think we just break 2 of these. Named event. Do we break 2 or we just rip 6 from our hand? I'm going to break 2. It means we can't fire the copulation, but that's fine. Why? We can kaboom this and ignore the remote, maybe? You might be right. But I think with things like TPR, dealing with remote server is actually kind of important. Yeah, we're draining the corp resources. We're trying to get Leech and Amakua, so if our opponent scores out, it might not be perfect. I was trying to make scoring out hard. If it's an off-world office, that's not the case. What do we lose? Banhar? I was assuming nothing would have been res there. I was going to try and bounce off a Tattoo, but apparently that's not the case. Oh, we just lost a Banhar. No. No. Yeah. Bummer. So we can click for a credit, but that's cringe because we lose it. So I think we just draw and throw out the Anacom. Yeah, I think we should have taken a turn off there and got Hoshiko up. I do think running was wrong. I was trying to res a Tattoo Bola, but that was not the exchange I wanted to make. I think the top of R&D is just about clear. Yeah, that was not a good run. It wasn't great for the corporation to res, though. Like, we made it awkward. But next turn, we just probably click 4, unfortunately. I didn't want to click for credit because we lose the credit. Tattoo Resonance super impactful. Day in 9? I think it was on 7. Oh, Imagine we clicked for 4. So next turn they can score out another bacterial or a bacterial. It looks like they're slow rolling. If it's a Biovault, they drew 2, so now they have points in hand, I think. So we can blow it up. They might purge next turn. Yeah, if we clicked for 4, we'd be in a really good spot. I don't think we care about the purge because we can blow open HQ. So next turn we probably still don't run. We just like get lib down. Absolute nightmare. Atea firing 3 times or whatever. They're going to start to flood up too because they just don't have the economy, the fluidity to push forward. I don't know if they're on off-world office or not. One spin doctor left as well is going to be important. Going down to 1, scoring this. Now we can run archives and just rebuild. I don't think we have a huge incentive. There's not much they can do next turn. Imagine how much RH money would have made here. Like, yeah, you'd also have a more like small deck. I want Atea to be good. It's just so hard. But a big part of this is that we're a central pressure deck. So like the first 4 ace ended up on centrals, which it's hard. It's really, really hard. Would Atea be messed up if it was anytime you install the card, not just on a remote server? I honestly don't know. It probably would not be healthy because people would build Hyper Glacier and like fast advance from hand and have like 7 ice on R&D that they install for no credits. Like I kind of get it. It's just, it's frustrating. Yeah, Ag Infusion would be even better because then this Archer would be like an Ag Infusion threat. Really seems like the best thing to do with Atea is jamming sysops into an empty server to build an ice tower Jinja at home. Yeah, I agree. But even that is like dependent on having enough cards in hand to fuel it. And if you draw bad, like you draw bad. Because you draw 2 agendas in a row, it's like you can't Atea for 2 turns. So range the top 7 of R&D, hyper cursed. Archives can't be rezzed. We can run that if we want to. I think here we do credit, lib, run archives. Our opponent can't afford to purge. Honestly, Atea needing to spend its first like 3 turns on installs to just shore up centrals makes the ID feel bad to play. Yeah. It's like a bit of a bummer. It's like the last IDs from the last cycle, how many of them landed? That is the part that like bums me out about the last cycle is like we had some really, really, really cool cards. The IDs though, for some reason did not connect. Like Thunderbolt, no. Nuvank, no. Epiphany, no. Atea, no. So none of the corporations did anything competitively. And on the runner side, Mercury, no. Seb, I'm okay with Seb. And then obviously Arasana like slaps. I wonder how that feedback came across and how that's going to like impact the design of Elevation because the identities like really did not land. As much as like Atea seems fun, like people like the idea of Atea. I don't think I've ever heard anyone who's like a huge Nuvank stan. All right, so Adrian can't really defend. They know the next 7 on top of the deck, so like they're probably just going to click for credits. Maybe they can get a Mindscaping. I'm just going to run archives here. In theory, we didn't have to get the lib down first. This gives us a Hoshiko flip. Like it'd be cool if this sort of build a secondary mode for econ assets with the main scoring server, but you get blown up so hard in centrals if you do that. Exactly, yeah. Where that's where you put like your cohort and your regolith, but it just gets challenged. Isn't the matchup kind of attrition matchup? Does the game go this way? Well, so this matchup is weird. We've been kind of petering out a bit. The problem is it's difficult for Atea to do anything quickly on no money. This has to be a regolith or it has to be a Rashida. No Atea. BN reality mine is. But this is not super attritional. Like this is a slow game, but that's because unfortunately, I don't think this corporation has a strong way to get to 7 points from here. It could be a bunch of fast advance, but that's mostly it. Okay, Ashen. We might Ashen this turn. We just need to get all the value out of our hand. I wonder if you Ashen first or second. So this could be an agenda into Audacity. Adrian did not move over though. So we can deal with the server. It's very expensive. We can blow open HQ, which is probably fine. We want to use this crew before we Ashen. I don't know the bottom 3 cards of the deck. We also could labor rights back in, but I don't think we have a huge incentive to labor rights this soon. Like it honestly might be fine to empty the lib, run HQ, and then Ashen next turn. Here we can buy a bans. That's also fine too. We could do like lib, buy a bans HQ to get the crew back to the deck. Today's my fave, but it's a little contingent on having a lot of movable sysops. Yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, of course, do it up. It could almost do something. Nuvum could be cool, but the 50 card minimum deck size is legit such a downfall. I love Newbin. Wish that recklessly printing 2 credits turn was good enough. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It might be different in startup for what it's worth. I think those IDs find a bit better. Cup twinning sweep HQ. The thing is, like, they've just hit a bacterial 2 turns ago. I don't think we need a sweep HQ. I do want to use the cup though. We know a tattoo bull in HQ. They're picking up food, so we can decide what we want to do here. We probably should play an event because we'll have issues. So we can get the second leech down, which can matter. We can do lib, buy a band's HQ, draw 2 cards, install a leech. It won't get a successful run server because it's past the successful run. Then we can throw the cupulation. They can't afford snare. If Adrian fires, whatever. Yeah, I think that's what we do. And we'll just blow this up. If it's Rashida, which it probably is, and 2 Tattoo Bull ends up on HQ, so be it. But we're going to Ash it next turn anyways. So we just want the Aqua Ceres Cruise back in the deck. And we want to get this back in the deck because this is the most amount of money on a single card we have. We have to wait for our opponent to come back. Probably want to use the labor to sculpt before Ashen. I'm not 100% sure, Tenos. There's a chance that we want to do it sooner, but there's also a chance that we can do it later. Maybe next turn we'll labor rights back in Cruise and then spam 3 Cruise and then Ashen. I think there's a big chance we can do that, especially because Bai is going to put us down on no cards after Hoshiko draw. I'm assuming you do labor rights before you Ashen, because you can always remove these on accident with the Ashen and then the deck gets worse. For what it's worth, Ashening and removing the 3 Cruise off the top 5 will have a huge impact on this game, let alone the 2 Devil Charms. But core IDs these days need to mostly be doing super busto beyond economic stuff like Ag, Op, or to extend ASA. That is correct. Like, those ideas are much more powerful. I wouldn't say they're super busto. They're interesting and they can interact with runners in more, compelling ways. For what it's worth, Atea sounds like ASA, but the difference is Atea can build a lot of remote servers and that's harder for the runner to deal with, generally. So we won't take a tag here. So we'll see 3 of 5. I don't think we have to use the twinning. We have to play Adrian first. So Leech, Baya Bands, we'll draw 2. We'll install a card from our grip. I think it's the Leech. I don't care about the hand in this matchup too much. I don't know the text on Adrian. I'm not going to read it. I think we want to trash Adrian, so we want to lose. I don't know what the text on Adrian is. I've never figured it out. So our opponent paid 1, so we can't access Adrian. Okay. Found an Adrian. Different Adrian. Looks the same. Adrian is Caprice. I've still messed that up somehow. Second Adrian doesn't matter. It's unique. I'd rather Amakua. This is not a bit. I don't know what's going on. We lost the Psy game. It asked us to use cupulation. I thought it was another Adrian. Do you mind if I undo that? I don't know the text of it. There's too many words. I'm not figuring it out. It's not clear. He lost the Psy game, so he dies, but he works. Make it make sense, NSG. Just read the card. It takes, like, the stream is only 4 hours. We can't keep reading this card. I have to do an Arkham tangent. Jumps in front of the bus? That doesn't seem like paid enough for that. I'm gonna pay 1. Oh, I mean 0. That's funny. Draw 2 cards. The Leech doesn't fire because we've already made the successful run trigger. No. Okay. Great. We did it. So we can go back. Snare can't be fired here. We're going to discard cards from hand. That's okay. It gives us Amakua and gets Leech. If our opponent fires a Rashida, they can't really purge. Now we can see 3 cards on HQ. I think we're going to do that. Yeah, a bit different. Every time you undo click is like really powerful attack. They just scored a bacterial into a bacterial, so I don't think there's agendas in hand. We'll send the cup into the bin though, because we just need to get it. Hansei, okay. Oh, never mind. I didn't think they had agendas in there. GG, where did those come from? The bottom of the last backed? I didn't think they had points in hand because they did. I guess because they ended the bacterial that they probably had the agendas. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I guess that was the bottom of the last bacterial. And for what it's worth, 13 minutes. That is about what you'd expect. Or sorry, 13 turns. Like that kind of makes sense. They just have a lot of work to do. Yeah, we did it. He clocks out for the day if you win a side game. No, but if you win a side game, he stays. Why is it when he fails his job? Oh, I see what you mean. The narrative doesn't make sense in my head. If he fails to do his job, he survives. To me, it should be the opposite. If you fail to do your job, you should left. This obviously teaches you something about my thoughts on capitalism. Oh my God. Got it. Okay, so the hand was just flooded. I kept missing him. Hand was just tattoo for days. Yeah, there's just points in hand. Remember, generally is losing a side game is bad for the runner and not getting the time access is bad for running. But the thing is, like, sometimes you want to touch the Adrian. If you fail to do your job, you got to stay and do overtime. I just don't think makes... It's fine. I'm glad we figured it out for the next week before I forget. UK regional sounds good. Like a distraction, if he succeeds, he has drawn attention. I feel like that's not why they employ him, though. I don't know. We need someone to scroll through the Métropole VODs and make an Adrian compilation. I probably should get it done at some time. And like the thing is, like, it's genuinely not a bit. It's genuinely, I feel like I've got it, and then something happens and they respond to it confidently, like that turn where it's like, oh, we've accessed an Adrian from HQ. And then it gets me every single time. Andre next Adrian super gonna be sick. I need to be able to like cut the streams up a bit better. I don't do a good job at doing it. How are we doing on time? We've been streaming for less than 3 hours. Let's get some time in. Let's play the weird op deck I think that Bridgman was playing. It's called Rain of Arrows. It's really cool. I talked about this a bit before on stream. But it's a lot of big ice that you res for free. We get an Oberth down for free with an Eminent. I don't know if you get this down as your first Eminent fire or not. You probably don't. And then you start jamming in the remote server and everything you advance. This deck is really weak to Pinhole. This is, again, where would you rather play Pinhole or would you rather play Tread Lightly? This deck hates Pinhole. You can stop a Pinhole with a Biovault if you want to make that trade. And Biovault's not super expensive with the Oberth, but that's the problem. So I think our best game plan is like you score an Eminent on top of a Tucana. You use the Eminent to get an Oberth, and then you with the Tucana you get the Archer, except you forfeit the Eminent to the Archer. So you actually can get either of these. The problem is Tucana only gets ice, so you should go get the Oberth, I'm imagining, with the Eminent score. So it works. He's a clone hunter, not a bodyguard, though. That's what I mean. Like, he doesn't seem like a dude to be like, oh, I'm going to fall on this knife for the team. He seems like a guy who's like, my job is to kill clones really, really good and make them run into explosions or away from explosions. It just... it's been a while since we forgot to get Conduit. I'm actually a lot better at it. And I've honestly been playing a Conduit deck. And maybe I mess up 1 in every 7 runs. Like, I've been training. Let's give this a shot. I'm really excited for this deck. Cat. Hi, Andre. Hope you're well. I'm doing pretty good. I got an Adrian. I ran into an Adrian problem. How are you doing? Technically, his job is to just see how they run, strictly observing. He's like a, you know, their fitness advisor. He's talking about their form, mostly. Cat, I hope you've been well. Like the Thursday stream, I just want to play Tabletop Netrunner on stream. It's so fun, especially when you get to talk about what you're doing. See how the Métropole Grid runs. Aggressively. Getting leech counters, the best card. Realizing the tech against Andre is just put 3x Adrian in the deck and exert the mental tax. There's a lot of cards that do that. Like for real, like Tributary, the mental tax on it was a huge part of the success of that card. Ran into an Adrian problem. The Adrian problem is streaming. Stoppable, how's it going? Been better. Oh, sorry to hear, Cat. If you want to talk about it off stream, you can always hit me up, of course. I hope things are getting better. Somehow put Mercury in your corp deck and reap the tilt. I know what Mercury does. Mercury's fine. All right. Lou, 44 cards. Hey, how's it going? So this opening hand, I would say it's kind of butt. Early Archer. We're going to draw an Archer sooner than later. Surveyor also on its own doesn't do anything. So I'm going to mulligan this. Ideally, we just draw something and push it fast. It's wolf time. Ooh. Hey, thanks. You too. Yeah, it's a Lunar New Year. Happy to everyone who celebrates that. We're going to mulligan and go from there. It seems a bit better. So Lou going to get an open on an imp. That means SDS drone deployment. There's a lot of different ways. Both players mulligan, love it. Hoard'em, not too bad. Hoard'em, I think eventually we can afford to triple advance this, and that means you have to work a bit harder. You can't deal with this if you want to get down, what's the one called? An Audrey. So our remote server, I think I like message chess on centrals. Hoard'em on remote is fine too. Border control on the remote. So I think we're going to ice HQ here and then just do install advanced NGO. Install advanced NGO in this deck is a lot of money because it is a click for 2 clicks for 6 credits, and the opponent has to consider running it. Otherwise, you can click for 2 credits, which is like whatever. From that point forward, we might jam an SDS behind 2 ice, and our remote server will be probably border control Hoard'em. Mess needs better on centrals because they have to run it a bit more. So I think we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Again, the first time we advance a card, we get 2 credits. So technically we're functionally here on 11 credits, which means resing the message chest was totally reasonable. Everyone's adding an E to Lou. Lou can be more than 40 cards if you just avoid telling Jai. I find it really difficult to build a 40 card minimum, as much as I know that's what I should be doing. Do Lou decks contractually need to be 40 cards? No. I have a really hard time building a 40 card deck. Like, it honestly dissuades me from playing the 40 card runners. Corporation 44, love it. 40 runner. I'd rather play 45. I just can't do it. Every card you add to Lou over 40 is losing 20% of your power. No, that's fine. Yeah. Oh, you can just undo click if you want. It's a bit easier. Cool. Yeah, undo turn requires both players to consent to it. Oh, fuck. We're going in. Now, this is run R&D if successful. Instead of breaching, reveal the top 3 cards, trash one of the revealed cards. Now, this technically trashes a card, but it's not a card you're accessing. So this actually doesn't fire Lou. I don't know if our opponent knows. It's still very aggressive. So they can get an Eminent if they want to. But if they do, we get a Message Chesto on R&D. So they're going to get for the Message Chesto. They can technically run back, trash the Rashida, run back, and steal the, what's it called? So this is actually the most damage and fires Lou. They'll be on 1 point. This like last revealed tab is kind of pretty sick. Good start for them. So we're going to have to probably put the Hoard'em on there. They're on 1 credit. Okay. So this is going to slow us a wee bit. So we want to do Hoard'em on R&D. Border control on the remote server is okay. We can definitely draw once here. And we can do install advance. Okay. We don't need more money. We just need to get ice on here. So we'll do R&D. Then either we advance the ice, which tells our opponent a bit about the situation. They might just drop a botchless on this and send it. I don't think we can deal much with that. Otherwise, we can advance this or the Message Chesvo. Rather advance the Message Chesvo. The Hoard'em, this gives them more information. If this is a Winchester, in theory, like could trash their Stargate. Strong on RD with 60 card minimum deck size would be a huge jank buff. I don't know. That's the opposite too. Like I don't like playing the 50s or 60s because then your deck is inconsistent. Okay, they're forcing the res here. That's fine. We get a credit back as a Hoard'em. They could botchless this as much as they're short of credit. And if they put down an AI, we could triple advance this. It only costs us our whole turn, but at least it only costs us like functionally 1 credit. Oh, wait, what? Oh, sick. Cool. So rejig, getting rid of the Stargate into Lily Pad is kind of hella cool when they don't need the Stargate anymore. You don't see a lot of people do Temple rejig. Gachapon, so we have to play around. We're assuming they're on botchless, so anything at instant speed. Here, I think we're going to slowly build the remote server. We don't have this straight sick tempo start because we didn't get the Eminent. So I think we can do border control, install advance, and see if they charge the remote server. We have more money than it looks. But I want to put another ice on this. So they get Devil Charm, Augustina, and just a Fermenter. So they have a pinhole in their deck. Fermenter means the SDSs are not going to be that hard to deal with. We can res all this ice because we technically have 15 credits as much as we've obfuscated that information. We'll see if they run this. We might not res the border control because we don't want to show it's a border control. And let's see what card they remove from the game. Gachapon looks at the 6. They removed Augustina and Devil Charm. I think we're pretty happy with the Devil Charm. Augustina is kind of hard for us to deal with 44 cards. Yeah, this looks cool. This looks like a virus mulch list. Second Gachapon. Poison Vial. So they're definitely on botchless. Helium for a Hosh. Okay. This is why we also don't want to show the border control. They found a program. They fired the Gachapon on our turn, I think. So they might have missed the trigger. I'm not sure if the Gachapon fired on our turn or their turn. Because if they want to get a program here with Lilypad, they have 2 triggers. They also have a Simon chip, of course. Since we're playing to crew, are we still hunting for archers? Free archer is fine. The thing is, like, they need a crew and they still need a lot of stuff all at once. So it is what it is. If they do deal with it. They deal with it. I don't know what else other ice we want to get. We could technically go get like a surveyor, but everything dies the same to crew charm. Besides border control, which dies on its own. So Helium Emperor, it looks like they did the interaction correctly. They shuffled back. They took the Hush and the Devil Charm of the deck. We're really happy about that, honestly. Okay, I would love a piece of ice here. We can do install advance the Biovault and have Biovault border control, but I do not like that. I think we need to find an ice. We can put the Spin Doctor to the table. It allows us to purge a Helium Emperor at some point. And if we just advance, it's like a click for 2 credits. It's not particularly what we need here. Can you not push the SDS? They have a program. It's like, we would have to do it first click. It might have been okay. But I'm pretty sure we want to get a Tucana down before we score this for tempo. Like trashing Helium Emperor doesn't really matter. And if they force the border control as we pop it, it's really ugly. And then they're on game point. I think we can be a bit more precious. Because I think our late game is going to be better than their late game is my check. Yeah, I'm not going to res this. I'm just going to keep advancing and see if they do something with this. It's a click for 2 credits, which is like whatever. We could advance the Whoredom, which is also kind of whatever. But I'm going to start our turn here. So res the Spin Doctor. Unfortunately, now we have to pop this. No, we probably should have res this. Now we at least have a remote server next turn, so we can jam the Winchester into the SDS over 2 turns. If they trash this, they get a Lou trigger. Otherwise, we shuffle back these 2 cards, which are like, not bad. I wonder when we're going to have to purge into the Helium Emperor. We need to keep our hand clean. They're not checking our cards on the table. Maybe they assume this is an NGO or they're worried about traps. It makes sense this is an NGO. So we're technically plus 13 credits. We're on 17 credits here. So our remote server, nice. Okay, so they're going to lose all their money. I'm going to res this NGO first. We'll res this Mesnachesvo. So we can make them lose all their money, which is important, or we can make them lose down to 2. I'm going to be as spiteful as possible because the Mesnachesvo counter is actually not that hard for us on the basis that advancing it gives it credits. All gone. We still have to install a lot of ice and res it. So like our money is not fantastic. That's really good. I think this is what we want. So we can do Eminent, Mesnachesvo, advance the NGO front. That's a click for 2 credits. Mesnachesvo was also a click for 2 credits. Oops. So advance this for 2, or we could advance an ice for 2. I think I'd rather advance this. Winchester on HQ seems really good. Next turn, we score this out for 1 and discard a card. I've been in and out. Was Bridgman streaming on Twitch or YouTube? What's their channel? Any other Netrunner player who stream often? There's a whole bunch of Netrunner players who stream consistently. Give me 1 second. You can find Bridgman's linked. It's Kitchen Table with Bridgman on YouTube. I don't think Bridgman streams on Twitch. So we can either res the Mesnachesvo or we can res the border control for 2. I'll res the border control for 2. Yeah, if you find Kitchen Meta, Bridgman's YouTube, search it. Other streamers, so Boss streams every Monday afternoon. There is, I'm gonna do a bad job at this, unfortunately. Neon Static streams every other Monday. Who am I forgetting? Every Wednesday night now. This is the second time they're doing it. There's backroom channels on both YouTube and Twitch. They stream Paper Play. I feel bad if I'm gonna forget someone. Axu streams tournament stuff. Jeff doesn't really stream that much anymore. He used to. Jeff just had a kid at the end of December, so he's kind of spoken for. But Jeff used to stream regularly. He hasn't streamed in like a month. I don't think he'll stream anytime soon. Sokka streams, yeah, Sokka streams sporadically, or 2-time world champ. Sokka234 on YouTube. You can find that. Actually, I can just open a list here. Hold on. Generally, the people I've subscribed to on this channel are all Netrunner and some Arkham. So QTM hasn't put out content in a while, which is really great. Ryan hasn't put content in a while. It's really good. Paper Play. Running Hot from Australia puts out Paper Play content. It's fantastic. The ones with dots have content since. So there's a stream. There was a stream yesterday. And then these I've mentioned. But yeah, there's a lot of great content out there. Ooh, Chisel. Sick. That's fine. Unfortunately, we just popped the border control. But the Chisel will eventually eat the border control. So it's okay. So it's up to us. Score the Eminent. So we can score this Eminent and go for the Archer combo. I think we will, because I want to see what this deck can do. So we advance, gain a credit, advance, advance, score. So now with the Eminent, oh, we have no Tucana. No, this was not right. No, I'm going to go for it because it's fun. So with this, we can go for, not for the ice. We can go for the, hopefully they don't pinhole it, but we're going to go, oh, they're going to pinhole it, right? So this is going to end up in server 2. We still have enough money to res this stuff. HQ is a bit pressured, unfortunately. I don't think we need the Winchester. I think the Mesnachesvo is going to hold. This Winchester is really annoying into them though. So next turn we can score the Eminent Domain fast advance for 1 credit. And then with that, we'll get another ice. So this needs to stick for a turn for us to have a chance. Snack needs to have credits and the pinhole, which means a bit difficult. They might face check this, which we res the NGO into the Messney. So it's either the Biovault or the Winchester. Biovault's really good with the Oberth, so we'll get rid of the Winchester, but it's a bit risky. Fast advance for 0, install, advance, gain 2 advance. Yeah, I guess it's free, right? Advance. Yeah, it's for 2 credits and we get 2 credits. Imp, nice. Leap pad draw. Jeff used to stream, but then he had a baby, yeah. Yeah, you synchronicity. Used to stream every week. Put out some good video content too. Might be back at some point, but it's hard to have a kid, I imagine. Takes a lot of time. It's like, it's not a tempo play having a kid, let me tell you. It's a late game value play. So we have to protect this. The baby is pretty tempo negative. It is. It's true. It is pretty tempo negative. It's expensive. All right. So now, ooh, so we actually can do everything. Oh my, Bridgman. So we install and res the Tucana, install the Eminent. We are just gonna fly to the moon. So check this out. Install. We might actually not be able to afford some of this. So I made a mistake. I messed that up. Oh, do you mind? I was so excited. Adrian has a lot of text. This might be thank you. I forgot this doesn't work like that. All right, from the top. Okay, don't worry. We're just gonna do the less flashy thing. Install, advance. So this puts 2 counters on it because it's the first time you install a card in or in front of the server. In theory, you can advance ice. We advance this and score it. And now we can go get a card from our deck and install it and res it for free. So either we can protect HQ, which is fine. So we're going to protect this remote server. We're going to go get an archer. We're going to put it on server 2 for entirely free. And now we just snowball from here. Now, next turn, we can install the Tucana Biovault, single advance the Biovault, costs us no credits. And then we can push the SDS into the SDS. For what it's worth, we're going to score to more than 6 points, which is annoying. Our opponents still can put pressure on. Like, we're probably going to lose from HQ or R&D. So the next time we fire the Tucana, we'll get some ice on. Probably HQ, considering we have a winning amount of points in there. Turns out Oberth has some text. It does. I was really excited. Yeah, this is how we lose. Like, we could have got ice for HQ. It might have been correct. The server seems pretty strong. We'll see how bad this is. For what it's worth, you can Eminent and get a Spin Doctor, which, like, this is the last Eminent, so it's not going to happen. Purging also rips cards out of our hand, so we might have actually wanted to ice HQ here. This is where the Winchester is really good. Put all this text on these cards. They don't have to break the other server team. They have no money. I'll fire it. It's fine. So best case scenario, they hit the Biovault. That's fine too. We would have liked that. They probably want to imp that because of Lou. They can run back here. Vault Advance Tucana feels like the greedier turn. Yeah, I think we want to do Vault Advance because we might have some issues. Actually, it's probably better just to get the SDS in the remote server, let's be honest, so they can't imp it. Because we can win. We can lose in 2 turns. With Simulchip, we can lose as well. I think we install SDS, install Biovault Advance, the Biovault. Just so that it's safe in the remote server, and we have a Biovault, which interacts somewhat favorably with Botulus, but not perfectly. If we purge, we lose 2 cards from hand, because Heliamphora has text. I will remember this text. I forgot about it last time. Yeah, we can probably slow it on SDS. Like, every advancement giving you 2 advancements, it's pretty sick if you want to go for like 2-turn value. All right, hoping for the best here. No. But viruses are pretty good against us. I'll fire it. I don't need to. Hit a Biovault, please. Otherwise, we're on game point. F. So now we can lose to any single access, Botulus and R&D. I do think we would probably have been better to put a Winchester on HQ and play a bit slower. Because this deck is probably really good at invalidating a single ice. Oh, they got rid of the Heliamphora. Not that purging makes sense. Ballot on 1. What if you draw the Sam? We're cooked. It's pretty bad. SDS is also like relatively blank here. But yeah, central pressure is going to be an issue. We might have overcompensated on the remote server. For what it's worth, this remote server is super safe because we still have border control. They do have a Hosh. It's here. Thinking. Oh, they're gonna, wow. So they're just gonna simul chip start a turn just to get money back up. I think that makes some sense. I'm way more scared of them simul chipping for like a botchless. Oh, come on. Come on. That is so bad. That is such a bad draw. Okay. So we can install double advance the Biovault. Just push it and go. Like, it might not be right. We might be okay to draw. What else can you do? Draw for Spin Doctor, which is a 1 in 12. Not great odds. We could draw for a Resible Ice, which we'd have to top deck a Winchester or a Border Control, install credit. I think we keep the Biovault in hand. I think we do draw, install SDS Advance. Oh, that's interesting. That's fine, though. I think this is overall better for us because now it's more padding. It's a 1 in 4 in HQ. Install Advance 3 times to jam the other SDS next turn. We don't actually have to because Oberth is the first time per turn, so we can still jam the SDS next turn by doing Advance, Install, Advance. We won't score it in 2 turns. It's a 1 in 4. Hey, Snack, I know that guy, nice friend at Mount JNet. They are putting the pressure on. How many 3-pointers are left in the deck? I feel like we saw a lot of agendas quickly. It's only a 44 card deck though, but we're more than halfway through and we've seen 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12 points out of 18. Yeah, it's a bit higher than you'd expect. Okay, I'll fire. How's it going, by the way, Antoine? Biovault, okay. They have to imp that if they want to trash it. That means we're probably safe for a turn. So we can do advance, install the SDS. Not great. Protects HQ though. Yeah, Oberth isn't like BtL. Yeah, Oberth is once per turn. First time per turn. BtL is still only if it's not advanced, but this should be okay for us. They might have a way to challenge remote server. Like if it's crew into Devil Charm, we have some problems. We might be able to hold on though, because the message chest was just pretty good. Fermenter for 6. Ooh, what are they doing with the money? So this came up earlier, like botchless. Imagine this was a toll booth, right? Which doesn't make sense in BtL, but imagine this was a toll booth. It's just botchless. They lose 3 every time. Technically, toll booth is different because it's lose 3 or end the run. That's not the text on message chest, but that is worth something. But if this was a Vampire Nasa, it's so much harder for them to get through it. No way they get in. It's possible. They would have to like crew charm this and then botchless this. Augustina, okay, that's fine. We can trash the standoff. Rashida, okay. So we'll score this out. Trash the botchless. Interestingly, trashing the chisel might be worth something. But the botchless runs HQ. I don't think we care about HQ that much. I think we more care about the remote server. I need to force them to have a way to deal with the boarding control. This is probably correct. And then we just install this. We win in 2 turns. And we don't have to sabotage from the top of the deck. We can just sabotage any card from hand, really. Yeah, Toll Booth is actually hard to end the run there. That's true. But it's also like that is like one of the narrow use cases where the runner is like on no credits and they're sneaking through the Mestney, which is not super common. But like compare Toll Booth to Vampy. I'd rather have the Vampy. Moment of truth, I suppose. Maybe if we're on 3-2s, they have to run this. But if we're not on 3-2s, they don't have to run this. Because if it's a 3-2, we just do advance. We can get up to a 4-2 here. If with an Audacity, we could get to a 5-3. But if they imp cards from hand, it's really hard for us to Audacity because cards in hand will be close, but we need to keep the Audacity. It's like 2 more Sam left in 2 and 22. Yes, and some standoffs, but there's not a lot of points in the deck. Oh, shit, we can still just lose though at a Stargate. We can just lose. Again, how many points are in the deck? Hold on. So there's 18 points. So we've seen 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, there's only 2 agendas in 22. So we're likely to survive. We're rejigging the Stargate? Yeah, we probably do buy a vault next turn. No, we can't. Oh, yeah, we can. We can install advance and single advance SDS and then next turn do it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it actually gives us money because we do 2 single advances. That's a really cool play pattern. I like it when a deck forces you to do like a play pattern you didn't imagine. Did the rejig fizzle? Oh, they're rejigging the botchless. Okay, maybe that was worth trashing. I'll trash the Rashida from HQ. Technically, it should have been the standoff because we want to protect the Biovault. All right, it's 3 and 22 that we lose on the top of the deck. This is not a spin doctor. I'm assuming they'll give us a credit. Credits are actually kind of tight here, but they want to be able to do this twice. For what it's worth, Stargate and Augustine is a bit of a nombo because if we know the top of the deck, we know if to sabotage, but then they see deeper. Survive, they see a Tucana, Spin Doctor, and a Surveyor. So we're safe for a bit. So next turn we do install, advance, double advance, Biovault, pass. If they Stargate, we can stop it. And then we know the top of the deck is a Surveyor, so we can just trash the standoff from hand. We're probably in a lock here. Again, there's 2 and 22 that would have ended the game. Often they go for the Spin Doctor here. The Tucana, when on game point, doesn't matter. Yeah, the Spin Doctor deals with the thing. Install Biovault, advance Biovault. Yeah, exactly, advance SDS. And that'll put us on 6 credits or less. Ooh, Mad Dash Archives, sick. Really sick. Now, we threw out these cards from HQ, so this Mad Dash probably doesn't do anything. It takes a damage from them. If we're on 2-pointers, this matters. But these cards, we were all like willingly discarded. So I don't think this Mad Dash works. I think they just have to try and do something because it looks like we win in the remote. Reject seems like a good blink card. Yeah, it's a card that like on its text seems pretty good. It's fine. Like it's fine. It installs a card. Do you trash the card? You add it to hand. You add it to your grip. So like you can rejig anything with Lily Pad really. That's all good. They lost an imp. All right, so we have to do this perfectly. We know the top of the deck is a thing. It's no, not at all. So server 2, advance. So that puts 2 advancements because of the Oberth text. It puts us on 5. Now we advance this. So they have to pinhold the Oberth this turn. They can Stargate and see 2 cards. So we can either Biovault the Stargate or we can Biovault the pinhole. We know that they have a pinhole somewhere in the 19 cards left. That Biovault is a problem. Yeah, it's good. It's good. The Mad Dash would have been funny if you discarded the standoff. It's true. It puts them on 5 points, so it has no impact on the game. But if we threw out every single standoff, yeah. Technically does do something. In theory, we know they're not on Hermes. That's another reason not to throw out the standoff. If they were on Hermes, they could like Hermes Archives. Okay, that gives them some good choices. It technically means they can also Stargate twice, which is pretty exciting. Like you can Stargate once, we can end the run, and then you can Stargate again with the Simul chip. So I don't know if we force that or not. I think we do force the Stargate run. Otherwise, if they hit an agenda, we can force the Archives run. I think we do it. Tack, they can. They can Simul chip the Stargate. They can Stargate twice. I think it's definitely the line on this turn is to Stargate twice. Oh. Good call, though. Yeah, Vero realized this is not a Stargate. Okay. This is much better for us because now they can't win. We know the top of the deck is an agenda. Wait, but I know what this is. I guess they're going to imp it and then go deeper, which means then we can Biovault guaranteed because they can't Stargate twice. They needed to Stargate here and then we Biovault and we Stargate the next one. So they imp the Surveyor to draw a card so they can get a pinhole here, but they could have just drawn. But yeah, very noteworthy is when it says once per turn, it's not once per turn for that instance of the card, it's once per turn for that installed card. So if you Stargate and then reinstall the same Stargate, it's technically a different Stargate, right? Like the game doesn't realize that this is the copy, serialized copy of Stargate. So you can just flicker it. So here they would have to Simul chip. Now if they Stargate, they get to see 3 cards, which means we can just let it get through because if they run Archives, we can just Biovault that. We can also just Biovault the Stargate, but I'd rather them Stargate and then Biovault the run back because then they can't win unless they have Running Hot and then they win, which I don't think they're on Running Hot. So the best thing they can do here is not Stargate. It's actually just run R&D for a single, I think. Serialized Cold Full Stargate, 101. Saturday, how's it going? Okay, so now they can't win the game because they have 1 click left and we have a Biovault, so we can let the Stargate go through. The Stargate might not be correct. It's still unlikely because we have 2 agendas in 19, so grabbing a random section of 3 is probably not going to get you there. The Stargate overlooks sick and foil. It'd be pretty cool. The full art Stargates are fun. So even if they find an agenda here, they need a way to gain clicks, which is unlikely. So Hedge Fund Rashida, so we don't even have to pop the Biovault. All right, things help. Standoff, a great agenda. Yes, imagine in this deck with the Oberth, you install Advance, score it, get Tucana, Resin Archer or some shit. It's kind of sick. Kind of really cool. All right, so the top of the deck is Hedge Fund into Hedge Fund. They have 1 click left. We'll just end it no matter what happens. Archer loves it. Yeah. Yeah, Archer really likes it. All right, so the Oberth stays. They need to bring the Oberth down that turn. So this advance puts 2 counters so we can finish it, scoring out an SDS, trashing whatever we want on the way down. A good game. That was a close one. They almost had it on HQ. If they got slightly more lucky, you almost had that. When you were, there were 2 SDSs in there. Yeah, they had a chance of ripping both of them. It would be pretty bad. Nicely done. I don't feel great about it. Firstly, thank you. I feel like we mismanaged HQ. I think the Archer was an overextension. We probably should have iced HQ, seeing how our hand went. Maybe we could have taken a turn off and got the Winchester on HQ. Because their axes are explosive and they're very good at like dealing with a single ice. And we probably should have respected that when we had game point in hand. Yeah, I drew pretty ugly. Hand was quickly 2 SDS and 3 Biovault. I just wanted ice. Yeah, and our money was tight too. But we pulled out. We got a bit fortunate. This deck looks fun. I think Augustine's cool. It didn't fire enough for me to feel happy about it, but this game was fast. Like, the faster the game goes. Turn 11, it's average. It's not that fast. If he had gone slower, they would have at least had an extra turn at this point in the game. Yeah. Yeah, they would have. I don't know if we care that much. Oh, there was a send a message under the hedge funds. It was hedge fund, Rashida hedge fund, the final send a message. But again, the deck only had 2 agendas that mattered. We drew a lot of them. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the game, eh? I think we keep surviving. Like, taking a turn off, like, what we could have done too if we didn't have the SDS is you install the Tucana, install the standoff, score the standoff, and then you just get an ice on R&D. If you have toolbox ice too, and we don't have toolbox ice, like, you can grab a magnet. That would kind of be fun. And then you can, like, respond to the board state. I wonder if having a singleton magnet actually makes sense as a response play, because I think this deck is probably a bit weak to Trojans. Is my guess. You went slower, you would have also Tempo Tucanas. Yeah, Tempo Tucanas is definitely worth, I think, going slightly slower. I thought we were going to Tempo Tucana, and then I messed the turn up. Los, interesting. Yeah, Los is going to fire a fair bit because we res ice on their turn somewhat consistently. Now, Los is actually going to be pretty good, I think, into us. Because we have to slow down. Because we have to ice HQ. I don't like this hand. We have no money. Winchester on HQ is a start. So we can just score a standoff on turn 1 for a credit. This is a bad hand. All right, let's try and find ice for HQ. So we can do message chesto, advanced message chesto, throw out a send a message. I think it's fine. And the next turn we might just score a standoff. I think that's okay. The shows use the advanceable ice, no surprise. This chases out a spin doctor or whatever. Los deresing our like archers is going to be a problem. Carpe R&D. Like, this matchup I don't think is great for us. For what it's worth too, I think Hermes is pretty good at this matchup because we run so many points. Yeah, this is the worst case window. Wait, why are we windowing? I don't have res stuff. Okay, just tempo to get the saucy on the table. Wait, this is weird. What do we do here? If we res the message chesto, they gain 3 credits. But they also lose 6 credits. It bankrupts us. It puts us on 6, which is enough to score off the standoff. I think we'd res this. Why wouldn't we res this? Because they can window again? Huh. Now there's a chance that they hit the send a message. They gain 5? No, they gain 3. Oh, and Los, they gain 5. They gain 5, lose 6. Yeah, whatever. Standoff. Piss. It might have been right to res it. The thing is, like, with Los, we're not going to res another card. That's what we wanted for sure. You're going to have to res it at some point. Not necessarily. Oh, it might have been right to spin doctor there. I'll just click for credits. Imagine getting a reprise after a standoff steal. I know, we're going to get a Hermes after a standoff steal. It's going to feel terrible. Okay. I think we will shuffle back the Mesny and the Rashida and get another Spin Doctor working for us. Okay, we can do NGO advance, and that just keeps credits coming in. That's okay. This is a +6 credit play. Good old times when Beanstalk was around. Standoff was such a treat then. Like Beanstalk royalties? What does that do with standoff? Okay, so they're setting up as well. Okay, MDOM. So we can do Tucana MDOM Archer if they run it. The problem is, like, I think they're going to run it. We can just install the Eminent like we installed the NGO front. Like, that's the cool play, is that they don't run these. And then next turn we can do credit Tucana, like advance Tucana. Carpe Diem, Mark is HQ. Boomerang on the Hortum. Bravado on the Hortum. I think we res it here. We're totally fine with it. They might shut it down, but this is not that bad. If we don't res it, they hit us send a message. We probably should have got the Archer on the table sooner than later. Good old assets. Yeah, kind of. Cool. Don't hit the Sam. Archer, good. Shutdown, that's fine. All right. So we get to do a really cool play here. We can do Tucana to MDOM. They'll get 2 credits. So we can score the Eminent Domain. We unfortunately have 2 Archers in hand. So we can get an Archer from the deck, put on their remote server. The issue is, like, that's really bad into emergency shutdown. Archer is a really bad thing to be pursuing in this matchup. But we could do Tucana install advance and go from there. We need to protect HQ. We can also Eminent Domain to get just like an Archer on HQ. They're probably on Sneaked or Beta maybe, but they're just going to like that's the problem, is they end up window of opportunity HQ. But I think we need to protect HQ before we Archer in their remote server. So we can do Tucana, advance, Eminent Domain Tucana. We can get a Winchester on HQ. That's probably pretty good. And then they can trace through it because they have no installed cards. And then we can get an Archer on their remote server. I think we just have to. If they de-res the Archer, they de-res the Archer. This might make them want to check the NGO fronts. All right, so we can also just protect this and go get an Oberth. We technically have 8 credits. That also might be an option, is just go get the Oberth, because we have a Spin Doctor in the table. So if the Oberth gets pinholed, we're happy. The Oberth lets us push the Biovault play. I think the Oberth is actually relatively okay. So it's either we double ice HQ, which I don't actually care about HQ. I'm going to go do... But we trade the Eminent for the Archer. So Archer will res for 1 credit, trashing the Eminent. That's probably bad. So I think we Tucana, what's it called? A Surveyor here. And then we just get a border control on the remote server. That's probably fine. So we'll do Eminent. So what's the most expensive ice we can get on the remote server? F it, we'll get an Archer. That's fine. And then we'll get a Winchester on HQ for 1 credit. And then we'll pass. Now that means if we ever top deck a standoff, we can do the Tucana play, which is great. It's not great to do into a daily cast on 2. And this is exactly what we're trying to play around. In theory here, we can respect the Spin Doctor. I think it'd be super wild if they went for the Spin Doctor. So I'm just going to let this go through. They went for the Tucana. You got to take some risks every once in a while. Mining Accident. Oh, they could have asked for an action there. I don't think we would have played around Mining Accident, but you probably should ask for an action if we have NGO front. We'll take the bad pub. I don't think we would have paid 5 anyways. Now, the problem is, like, if they do window of opportunity onto the Archer, we can't really re-res it. Okay, that's fine. You have bad publicity. Okay. So we can advance NGO, which is click for 2. Pop it, we're on 8. We can install on the remote server Biovault and see if they run it. That's fine. We don't have to play the hedge fund this turn, so we can advance NGO front, crack it, Biovault advance, and see what they do. Not worth NGO advance. It's better than clicking for 2 credits. It's clicking for 2 credits. Otherwise, though, we could do like pop NGO, just go straight hedge fund into Biovault. That's also fine. But I want to keep our hand padded. You got hedge? No, yeah, but it pads the hand a bit. We want a border control here. Stall Bio first, advance and get a credit. Yeah, no matter what, we'll do that. Like Biovault advance, Because Wayland's not the first time a turn. The BTL, it's the first card. So the order doesn't matter. Too slow? I don't think it's that slow. We can advance this, go to 8, buy a vault advance. Oh, this technically means that we don't have to res it. That's actually fine. I see that's why you might be incentivizing that play. Yeah, then you don't need to pop NGO. That's cool, because it plays around diversion. That's a better line, you're right, name. That's a good shout out. Docklands, okay. So I think we're gonna get a sneak door here. Or window, okay. Window saucy. So this means we can just res the Whoredom, and that plays around Los, which is pretty good. So we're not gonna re-res this. So we will re-res the Winchester. They get the saucy credits, but they already got Los credits this turn. There are no cards in hand. We have to play around, in theory, the remote server push. I'm surprised they didn't window this remote server. Maybe they think this is an NGO front, and like rightfully so. Okay, Earthrise, they're just going to be playing their top deck. So I think we just do Hedge Fund, advance the Biovault, put a piece of border control in there. Then we can push the Sam the next turn over, and then res another Archer, hopefully. We actually probably should get an Archer on Archives, because if they sneak door, at least we'll get the Sam res. I wonder if they're worried about installing a program, because this could be an SDS. And so like install an Amakua here, which I'm assuming if they're mining accident, they're on Amakua, and that's going to be a problem for us. No way to slice it, because we have no virus and we can't ice up everything very well. The pinhole on the Tucano is huge. Luckily, they're out 2 windows, so that's harder to deal with. 1 shutdown so far, Saucy and Whoredom, so they clearly want to run HQ. Ooh, Rashida. So if we install send a message advance, we're on 9. I'm assuming if they're doing this, they're gonna play Sneak Door Beta. So we should mess the Archives, advance Rashida. We could have put Archer down too, but I don't know why they would pre-saucy this. Now this obviously makes the Dawkins a 50-50, which is kind of like messed up. Imagine if they could stick an exploit to get the re-res on Valiant HQ ice. Oh my god, it'd be so good. They ran 3 centrals. Rashida and new server, yeah, for sure. They haven't been running our servers. This looks like a spin doctor, which they don't really have to chase out. As much as they have 2 bad pub, like trashing assets is like trivial for them. Should get Archer down before SNM. Yeah, I think we're going to do it next turn. Boomerang on the innermost. If we get a free border control on the remote server, we're not feeling too bad about it. I don't know how they're dealing with this, though. Oh, they're just tracing. Okay, legit. That seems really expensive. We're going to lose the SAM, though. That's a bummer. Well, usually. All right, this is Trace 4. Trash a program. That doesn't matter. Trash a hardware actually really matters. Oh, no, it does matter. They have saucies. I forgot they have programs. Just bio this and cost them a boomerang and a bunch of money. Yeah, I think we will trade for the boomerang. Because they're paying a lot for this. This is Trace 3 for a hardware, so they have to pay 3 for this. We can make this annoying. We don't have that much money. We have Rashida, though. They have bad publicity, so tracing the Winchester is actually not that bad for them. I do think we bio-vault this. This is Trace 3 for all our money. We can end the run. I'm fine. The new formatting Winchester is so much better than the old formatting. I wonder when people realized that was a good idea. I don't think they had to protect the Saucy. If you pay 4 to protect the Saucy, how much money is the Saucy going to give you? This is also last click, so we're not super worried about E-shutdown. All right, boomerang out, a lot of money out. And we get a Rashida. Cool. We need a not flood on this. Sick. Sick. Okay, we should get the Archer on the table sooner than later. I think we do Archer, NGO, in advance. We could get another ice on HQ. It seems a bit extravagant. Whoredom will eventually be good against Amakua. Yeah, I want to get the Archer on the table sooner than later. They really want to find the last window. Is the NGO front better than the Biovault? No, it's not. I'd rather have the Biovault here. I think a third ice on HQ will be next turn. That's why we need the NGO front. I think we can play slightly slower. R&D is wide open. Okay, Cat's Cradle, that's cool. Whoredom is still pretty expensive. Now, Bad Publicity works, but Whoredom, they break for 4 to 5 credits. Like, at least that's half the bad pub. And then they can trace the Winchester. But now the Winchester subroutine really matters. Sometimes installing programs like makes, you know, if you have something to lose, sometimes you have to play a bit more careful. Credit. Okay, just credits. Great. Oh, they threw out the window. I'm super surprised. That was like the scariest thing for them to put on the table. So we can do install advanced Biovault. I think that's relatively good. This gives us a credit, and then it basically forces their hand into really awkward situations. We're playing a really weird control matchup here on both sides of the table. We haven't seen any multi-X's. I'm assuming they're on Wake. Carpe on R&D. Okay, they should take that run. They hit an SDS. They have Saucies. I don't want to shuffle with Spin Doctor, but there's a lot of points still in R&D. Tucana for 1. Okay, bad pub. Seems like you could score this turn without the Biovaults. Yeah, maybe. You're right. I think we could probably score. If we trash the Cradle, we're in a good spot. I'm playing a bit defensive because I'm worried about the shutdown Archer. But I do think you're right, though. Next turn, we just crack the NGO front and push. Maybe we don't need to push it. That's the thing, is like when I play against decks where I don't know what they're doing and they have huge blowouts like D-Res Archer, I play a bit conservatively. I think more often than not, it works out for you, like how you play against Reyna. So like just play a bit slower. But I think you're totally right. I'm just like, the thing that we should rush against is a Hermes. So no matter what happens, we get an Archer, which is good. And now HQ we don't care about besides E shutdown. I'm going to pre-res the Biovault because they should know this is an upgrade and it plays around Falsified. That's whatever. Bones install with 2 bad pubs seems not needed. Yeah, it doesn't seem entirely necessary. All right, we score the Sam. We can res an Archer. That's fine. Surveyor and HQ is also pretty good. I think we just score this and throw out the 3rd Archer. We're on game point. They gain 2. We still have a Biovault. Yeah, Hermes still not down is great for us, but we still have like a lot of little agendas here in R&D. They should find an agenda. Either an Eminent or a Standoff. Ooh, no. Still no breakers for them either. Like, they have to be. Maybe they're not on Amakua. Maybe they just want bad pub because it's bad pub. There's a Hermes. This gets a lot harder for us. Okay. So I think here we just need to make sure we are not bleeding excesses off R&D. HQ seems fine. So we can do install Messna Chesvo. We can advance Messna Chesvo. Otherwise, we install Messna Chesvo and Geofront advance and put them on game point. Like on having to do something. This always comes down here. So we can advance this. You spin of end of turn. I don't think we have a huge incentive to. It's keeping 3 points out of the game, which is a lot of our points. So it's either NGO advance or advance the Messna Chesvo. Them not having money is more important, but then we're not threatening game point. I think we can put the Oberth in their remote server because we technically can use the Oberth. We probably shouldn't. It's a cool option though. That might not be a useful click. This is only good if we draw a Standoff, but scoring Standoff into Hermes is probably not the play. The heck is this? This is Muse, so they can move around Saucies, maybe play Fazarum. That's kind of cool. It's just 4 influence though. I'm assuming we'll see like a Saucy on R&D. Oh, to grab a Carmen? That's like a mutual favor. That's so much like very MU tight. Carmen doesn't deal with Winchester too well. Okay. I think we don't care about HQ. Now we probably should be drawing for an agenda. They're in 8 credits. R&D has to hold. We can draw once for an agenda. Our credits are pretty good. We have stuff to res like 10, 14 credits. We can just do NGO double advance and force them to like go pressure. Because if they go in this turn and get a Hermes bounce, I think we're okay. Hermes is almost irrelevant. It's not, because we have to double advance to push the agenda. Which means if ever we do install advance events like this turn, they can just send it R&D. They don't have a huge incentive to run HQ, but they can send it R&D. And then we get bounced. Luckily here we can res the NGO front. You're drawing for an agenda, then spin? Yeah, we would start first click. We would start with the spin. Here I want to force their pressure at. And we'll pre-res the NGO front so it can't get bounced. We have to res this for 6. They gain 2 because of the Cat's Cradle tax. Russell, how's it going, by the way? Yeah, we'll take the bad pub money away. This is still expensive to break. It's 3, 4, 5. Before Axis will res the NGO front. They'll probably bounce the border control. They need to steal 3 agendas. There's still a lot. There's a lot of agendas in R&D. There's like 7 agendas in 16. Like Hermes is gonna be really, really bad. Why rest the NGO? It's good Hermes bait. Because I want the credits. Like I don't care what else they bounce. If they bounce the boarding control or the Oberth, whatever. Like I do want the credits. They know they don't have to run this, but they're not gonna run this. Wow, it held. That's bad. So we should Spin Doctor now start a turn. We do Spin Doctor, install advance. Click for 3 makes sense. So we'll Spin Doctor here, start a turn. We'll leave the 3 in there. I think we'll shuffle back just the Biovault. No, we should pad the deck because there's a lot of trashables. So I'm gonna put the Biovault and I think the Archer. Could have been hedge fund there. Okay, if we score this, they get a Hermes. Bouncing the Message Chest was not good, but then we also can't get the Spin Doctor down. The standoff doesn't do anything for us, but we need to get out of the damn game because of Hermes. So we can pop the NGO, we're in 16. We can do install advance SD standoff, and then install Spin Doctor. That might be fine. That might be fine. Why not shuffle the agenda? You want to draw one? Oh, that's so true. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, we could have shuffled this one back. You're right. It gives you the Oberth, yeah, but the Oberth, it matters for tempo because we can like push agendas on single advancements and weird stuff. So it's probably worth doing. We just don't want to jam it and pass because of the Spin Doctor. Yeah, maybe we should have shuffled the Salmon. I thought we would hit one there and not have to have this. Like this in the bin makes it very hard for them. Like it's a trade-off between them pressuring Hermes and not. All right, I'll go for the play. And we advance this once because of our ability. And that means next time we can advance and still push. The problem is like Oberth is the first time a turn and that will be used on the standoff. So that's like kind of cursed. Yeah, it might have been okay to shuffle this back in. I do think getting 3 points out of the game is still worth something because this is the only server they can run. And they only run this for like 3 credits with bad pub if we don't advance it. It might have been also okay to advance this instead of advancing that because this is more impactful for their economy. Cool. So running here, this is probably going to be E shutdown. Break for 5. Nice. I imagine we're going to get a credit here. Our money should be solved. So here they can shut down an Archer, which is not too bad. It's another good reason to score the standoff. Oh, they're breaking all of it. That's 10 credits for a single? Mess chest with Surveyor. Okay. Yeah, shut down for an Archer or for the Messney. I don't care. We pay 6 for this. Oh, they're going for HQ. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, they're just trying to fire their saucies. I don't think it matters. We never really have to res this Winchester again. More actually about disagreeing coming soon. Vault, I don't care about the Vault. We're going to use the Vault for when it wins. If they do-res a Archer, they still have to deal with boarding control Archer. I don't think it matters. And buy a Vault. We're only going to pop this on a turn where like we lose to Hermes. So do we Spin Doctor first? I don't think it matters. Rashid, okay. So we can score the standoff. We can res the Spin Doctor first. That means they'll probably bounce the Messney or the boarding control. I think we will score this and see if they trash their board state. We can always trash the Oberth. I'm kidding. This is what called Runner Hell. No, this is just kind of Glacier. Like this is not that unreasonable, I think. I think we're committed to scoring this out. The question is whether you res Spin Doctor first so they don't bounce it. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Let's see what happens. They can trash their cards. You should over it's a standoff. Just let it cooking. Play around clearinghouse. So now they can trash one of their installed cards. If they don't, we do. We actually like the card draw off the standoff. Let's see if they care about their board state. They can trash their class act. Okay, so now we have to trash one of our cards. Here, what is worth trashing? I don't think there's a world where we re-res this Winchester. Because when we res it, they gain 5. I wonder if we just trash this Winchester. It might be correct. And then what are they trashing? Their Miss Bones? Yeah, okay, no, because they can trash the Miss Bones. This is fine. If they didn't have a Miss Bones, I would probably consider it because it's harder for them to trash on this board state. Do it. It's not worth it. Okay, so now Rashida makes HQ a problem. We didn't draw into the agendas. This server can be inside jobbed somewhat. So we can put an ice on somewhere. I think we either put an ice here or we advance this. I think we'll put the ice. The survey will be 4 strength, so you break it for 4. I think the message chest was still more expensive for both players. Oh, we have 2 clicks left. That's pretty good. And we can put Rashida in the remote server. We have Oberth. We have money. We haven't seen a diversion yet. I don't think it's going to be super impactful. So I guess we go for Rashida and just hope that we don't hyperflood. Or we can set up a boarding control. I think we'll go for Rashida. We at least have options. Border on HQ. I don't think I care about HQ. The only problem is Rashida could be a liability. We can decide not to fire Rashida. Because like if we just draw one agenda, fine. If we draw two agendas, then we actually might have an issue. But I don't think we need to play this border control for like 7 credits or 6 credits. Oh, nice. So this message chest will res for 6, but they get 2. It pressures the spin doctor and it denies a bravado. I think I'm going to res this because we have enough money. They don't have a barrier breaker. I don't think it matters though. Them getting to HQ has no impact on the game. And they'll have a barrier breaker. They only have 14 cards left. So they can break this for all their money. So it's not really worth it unless they really want to force the spin. Because breaking this costs more than the credit they get from the bravado. Yeah, tracks. Still on 8. True Runner House having front company cold side server and archives with like 5 counters. Yep. Yeah, there's worse. This is not that bad. This is like kind of reasonable Glacier. Why put Mesny on HQ? We put it on R&D. R&D is where the agendas are. We'll res this. Hope for the best. That is super hyper cursed. Okay. So we can win. We can't. These are useless. Is the cat not anti-synergy with Los? Kind of. You mean R&D border would be better? Only for a bit. The thing is like they're going to start the Kurapira. The Mess and Chess was much more expensive for them to break. Like it's only a matter of time before they break the border control for 2. They always break Mesty for like 5. Immediately they have to install their Fractor. So this sucks. We can score an Eminent. We can. But like it doesn't help us win. If we score every single Eminent, we still only get to 6 points. We probably still do it though, because we get free ice on the table. We can get an Archer and R&D, and that seems good. So I think we do install Eminent, res Oberth, advance. Yeah, whatever. Win in Rome. Res the Oberth, trashing the standoff. Advance for credit. Advance score. We have to discard 17 cards. Res a card from our deck. I think we can get the Archer and R&D. Yo, Patrick, how's it going? Yes, this is definitely a board state you can be in. I think we actually throw out the standoff. We keep the Eminent. So we'll put an Archer on R&D. Say that's where the game is. Hermes bounces probably the Mesny. And we have to discard like 4 cards. Yeah, this is a board state for sure. They have no multi-X's too. Why not put the agenda in the remote server? You're right. Actually, we could have gone for the agenda into server 4, but then they'll bounce it with Hermes. So it doesn't do that much. But you can grab the agenda with Eminent. So it's worth keeping in mind. So I think we get rid of the standoff because I don't see why they would run archives. We'll get rid of the Rashida because it's a trashable. We're never going to want to fire that. Surveyor is very expensive. I think we'll get rid of Mesny. I think we're okay here. They have a chance of ripping the Eminent. Yeah, but if they install an agenda, they bounce it. I don't think it's huge. All right, so we res this Winchester. So they gain 5. We res this for 4. So we're on 6. They have to break it, but they have 5 credits. I think we just let this through. I think we just eat the diversion. I'd rather them access than the diversion, I'll be honest. Like, the bad pulp makes this a bit better for sure. But we have enough money to continue eminating turn after turn. Use Biovault? I don't care. We might Biovault on this one. But the Biovault is the most important card we have. This one we could Biovault. Is this our last Biovault? No. Oh yeah, we can top deck a Biovault. We'll Biovault this so we can still hedge fund next turn. Okay, so options. We can install the Eminent and fast advance it. That gives us all the credits. It allows us to trash the Winchester on HQ and get a border control up there. There's some value to that. Now the problem is this Eminent doesn't let us win. Otherwise we can do hedge fund, install advanced SDS drone deployment. They have a shot of 50% chance on bouncing on HQ, which is worth something. Inside job on R&D is also likely to find an agenda. They also can just like run it. So that is an option. We can also just score the Eminent, fire the Oberth, get ice on HQ. They have to bounce the Winchester, which is kind of funny. we'd actually would trash it, so it doesn't really matter. So that's another option, and we just ice up HQ. That puts us on 6 agenda points. From there, we can defensively go get a bio vault off the top, and it really forces them out. So either we push for the SDS, which is a 50% chance on HQ, or we just go get a border control for HQ, which I think might be more impactful. I'm just going to do this because it's fun, but it might be right to push here. R&D is almost all agendas at this point, which is a problem. So we're going to go get... They have to bounce the Winchester, so like we don't have to trash it to save money because this is free. So I think we're going to get... Now we'll get the barrier on R&D. On HQ, excuse me. They still have to make 3 runs on R&D to win, though. End turn, we'll discard the Winchester here, I think. The remote server still can get challenged, but they've played every single copy of... What's it called? Of Window, which is cool. All right. We'll crack it. So we're going to finally put the send a message in. Next turn, we can do install advance hedge fund. We'll put the bio vault back in. One more boomerang. Yeah, that's fine. How are you breaking this? Yeah. That's the last more like bio to vault. Yeah, so they have another diversion. No surprise. We saw 2 in a turn, so they clearly had a setup. So they could do Kurapira run. Oh, you can't undo that click. Oh, sorry. You still have to run the spin. You undid past that. Yeah, cool. I think they just went back 1 too far. Cool. All right, 14 credits. What does it cost to run this? Like, can they just run this remote server? It's still kind of expensive. But we can do hedge fund, SDS. Like here they're preparing to run R&D. So they're on 14 credits. We could play slightly slow here. We can do install SDS, advance SDS, put ice here. Yeah, they can run it. So we have an incentive to put a border control on server 4. So we can do border control server 4, hedge fund, border control server 4, install the SDS, but then we don't score. It's 14 to get in. Is that the numbers? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 14 and we gain 4. I think if they steal the SDS, it's still fine. Well, no, they trash the Saucy, so it's not the best. Like, they still keep their breakers, and then we can jam from there. But it is all their money, so I would probably just force the issue. So I think we do SDS advance, which is free, and then we either hedge fund or we put ice on R&D. I think we just advance the Mess and Chesvo. They're going to diversion us. We'll trade the border control for it. I think we just force this issue. We can still lose from here, I think. And then we either advance this Mess and Chesvo or we hedge fund. I'd rather advance the Mess and Chesvo. So they have to run this, which is most of their money. They could do boomerang for parts of it. They'll trash the Saucy, and then ideally we jam next turn. If they diversion us, it's fine. They have to muse for the breaker. They only have 11 cards left. They have an MU issue here, actually. They have to trash the Saucy. So now the SDS is really, really good. So if they just go for the diversion, we trade the border control. So it looks like they have to run R&D here on 11. Oh, sick. So this is, they're going to get in, but this is going to be pretty expensive. They're breaking all of it. I don't think they did the math on this because now they can't break the second one. They have bad pub too, which helps. But they're short on breaking all of this. I don't think they had to break the 2 credits on the Archer. It looks like they hit the break all button. That might not have been what they wanted to do. Okay. So it looks like they're just throwing everything at it. I don't think they had to do that. So we got to trash 2 programs. So we're going to trash the Muse and we're going to trash, honestly, the Cat's Cradle. So Codegate, yeah, we'll Cat's Cradle. Yeah, this is super painful. They get the SDS, but it costs them their whole board state. And now we can just jam anything we top deck. We still have to play around Boomerang. But now there's no server. They can like Boomerang run HQ. Nothing to bounce. Oberth, they can't trash. There's ways to do that. Like they could have given us 2 credits and protected one of their programs, which have been pretty good. Oh yeah, they missed bones that. Sick. I think we should just push. Draw. It sucks that we drew that, but when in Rome. So we have to play around Boomerang. I don't think they're on inside job, y'all. This Biovault was worse than a border control, I think. Come on, deck. Wait, how many points are left in the deck? The deck has 3 out of 5 agendas. I think drawing is better than the Biovault. Yeah, but we can do both. The problem is if we draw, we can't score, so we might as well like do something like this and just play like full defense. Right? Like we just want to play around every possibility. Because if we top deck, we still need 2 turns to score, so we might as well prepare to top deck. So now we're really prepared to top deck. Yeah, they're just panic drawing. Oh, they were actually on Tread Lightly. I don't think we would have played around that, but we got all our archers res for free. Come on. No, every card in R&D is an agenda. Besides one? Doesn't matter. We'll still top deck the agenda, but like every card besides one in R&D is an agenda. Ah, good game. Still wasn't in the remote server. What a grind. Yeah, a bit of a grinder there at the end. Oof. Tucana not worth it? At this point, no. But look at this deck. We wouldn't even have drawn it. We would have drawn the 3rd Biovault. It was STS to send a message to STS. That's hyper cursed. Oh, that's so strange. That's a really painful matchup for them. I think they have really interesting like angles of attack, but this seems like the sort of matchup where you make one mistake, you're cooked. I'm surprised they threw out the window because window into archer was like a really good line for the remote server, like forcing us to res the archers, and then you just install as few icebreakers as possible. Yeah, these got stuck together at the bottom. I've never seen that. 9 points on the bottom of the deck. They were functionally playing it to a 9-point corp deck, as much as we did shuffle a couple times. I wonder if we should have spin doctored back in the what's it called, the agenda earlier. We still had a standoff in archives for what it's worth. Like they could have put us off scoring out, which is why double Biovault makes some amount of sense. But the agenda swing in this deck is really cursed. If you draw poorly, I imagine this hurts more than others because you have to draw things in the right order. I like spinning in the send sooner. Yeah, it might have been okay. Especially because if they steal send a message, we're also relatively happy. But like, this is not the outcome you're expecting. So I think we got punished by something that is not, again, what you would expect. What time to do it? Hey, Mutt, how's it going? Wild. Really, really wild. How long have we been streaming for? Almost 4 hours? No, I think I have to get on a call after this. So I think this might be it for today. Super cool decks. Again, Bridgman did some streaming today to talk about the decks. I'm definitely going to check that out. I'll have the link to that in the description because I want to see that Lat deck because that Lat deck looks like it's solving a lot of the issues. Thanks for streaming. Hey, Antamon, thanks for dropping in. Hang out in chat. CBI was last weekend. There's a lot of cool posted decks. I think we're going to see more coming in. Again, just a recap here at the end because I showed it at the top here. I'm eating, you can chill. Oh yeah, but I don't want to jump into another game because it could be like 30 to 40 minutes. And also I still have to publish. Like I'm not done when the stream ends. I have to do the thumbnail and the publishing and all that sort of stuff. Again, I showed this at the beginning of the stream. I'll just show this again because it's a mixed bag, but we did our first recording this weekend with Pat. We ran into some terrible technical issues where like we recorded some fantastic games, but the mic wasn't recording. That sucks, but I'm so excited to get the stuff up on the channel relatively soon. We might have to do another recording session, but currently this is what things are looking like. And I think it's looking clean. It's going to be very exciting to have Tabletop Netrunner back here where we can, you know, put out some good content, whether it's System Gateway or obviously deeper stuff. So be patient with me, please. I know there's not been a lot of content on the channel, but we are hard at work setting up stuff and editing and making the mistakes so that once we're up and running, we're up and running. Cool. Oh, that's me. Oops, I went. As I'm trying to get active recording for my LGS channel, I feel this pain. It's a lot of work to do it the way that you want to do it. That's for sure. Ooh, I was about to take some corona damage. Cool. Huge thank you to all these names here and more. The Métropole Grid, we're supported on Patreon, which gives me the time to invest in equipment, editing, live streaming on afternoons, all this sort of stuff. Thank you to all these names and our Dailycast patrons. Any amount of support to the channel is always appreciated. We have a whole bunch of names that don't show up here on the Dailycast patrons. Their contributions are incredibly appreciated. It's never too late to support the channel. It does just help, you know, content like this exist, which if you appreciate that sort of stuff, that's a good help. If you want to take a second, otherwise, just to like the video, that also helps a lot. That doesn't cost money. That's always quite nice. I want to shout out, name's coming up soon. It took me a while to figure out the name too, because I couldn't tell if it started with a capital K or a capital L. I think it's Lan, coming up around the corner. Alphabet, we'll get there. Lanza just upgraded from Dailycast to the Sure Gamble. Really appreciate that. That's very, very, very cool. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Great stuff as always. Thank you, Sarya. I also enjoy SWU, Star Wars Unlimited. I haven't played it. Not a big Star Wars fan too much. Don't like CTGs. I went to a pre-release, mind you, this Friday for Flesh and Blood and honestly had, I think, the worst time I've ever had at a pre-release. And I just think I built a terrible deck. And then 2 games went to time, so I did not have time to change my deck between rounds, which you can do. And then I was just stuck playing this terrible deck for the whole event, and I won no games. It was rough. I definitely should not have forced the deck I wanted to force, but sometimes it just be like that. Anywho, thanks so much for hanging out. We'll be back on Thursday. I'm really hoping to do some tabletop play. It might just be a stream on Thursday, but we'll figure it out by then. Take care, y'all. We'll see you in a bit. Ciao.